Chapter 8:23. In space outside Yen-G continent, a C9 grade silver blue universe flying ship was flying. The distance is shrinking. The distance between us is shrinking. Luo Feng's expression was serious within the control room. Every cell in his body was trembling and cheering. Every cell locked onto a distant point, allowing Luo Feng to clearly determine that as time went on, that point was getting closer and closer to Yen-G continent. It's moving. Then just what is it, to actually be able to summon me from such an exaggerated distance? Luo Feng creased his eyebrows as he pondered. Out of 10, it should have something to do with the Nameless Manual. Only treasures related to the Nameless Manual, like armors or general armors, would be able to summon me. The so-called summoning feeling, Luo Feng already felt it was too mysterious. Even treasures shouldn't be able to produce a summoning feeling, like the Wu Killer Wings or the Beast God Weapon, etc. The strong in Primal Chaos City were as common as the clouds. There were countless treasures too. However, there had never been such a summoning feeling. And when Luo Feng searched in the virtual universe network, he didn't find any treasure that could produce a summoning feeling. Regarding this, Luo Feng only had one deduction: this treasure should have strict requirements for the owner. Like only those who train in the Nameless Manual could use it. Hence, there was such a strong summoning feeling. I've checked. Within the Virtual Universe Company's treasury, there aren't any armor that can give the user 1,000 times the Sector Lord's strength, or even 10,000 times. These special armors, at least with my authority, I haven't found any in the treasury. And the armor and general armor shards have been in the Wu-Long starfield for countless years. They've been treated as trash, probably because no one has discovered its uniqueness. Luo Feng nodded. In conclusion, the treasures related to the Nameless Manual should be very rare. At least humans shouldn't have much understanding of it. It's moving. Then what is it? Was it a treasure? Or a life form? Luo Feng was filled with curiosity. Days passed. Luo Feng sat in the ship and flew continuously in space outside Yen-G continent. However, it was simply too huge. After flying at sub-light speed for 3 months, the ship still hadn't left the main continent. It's getting closer. It's getting closer and closer to me. I estimate that we'll meet in another 10 to 15 days. Luo Feng suppressed his excitement. These 3 months it has always been flying, and its movement speed has always maintained sub-light speed. Then it is very likely that it is in a spaceship. The distance between them was shrinking. After shrinking to about 10 billion kilometers, Luo Feng purposely stopped the ship. Stop. Luo Feng's eyes were like lightning, looking into the endless space, almost as though he could see the ship in the distance. A distance of 10 billion kilometers, 9 billion kilometers, 8 billion kilometers. The distance continued to shrink, and in the blink of an eye, 5 hours had passed. No. Luo Feng frowned and shook his head. It didn't head directly in my direction. Instead, it continued to fly within the Sacrifice Yen continent. I can sense it, but the ship shouldn't be able to sense me. Otherwise, it would have flown directly in my direction. This means that the owner of that spaceship isn't like me, who can sense armors and general armors. Very good. Luo Feng smiled. The other party did not have the ability to sense treasures. This was good news. Close in. Luo Feng ordered. Close in. Yes. Babata replied. Luo Feng pointed in a direction. The spaceship headed towards the mysterious treasure. The distance continued to shrink. 3 billion kilometers, 2 billion kilometers. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The sword-shaped ship was flying above the Sacrifice Yen continent. Within the ship, the black-armored youth stood within the control room, looking at the endless scenery outside. He laughed loudly. It is indeed the foreign battlefield. This Sacrifice Yen continent really has many strong warriors. I've been in the main continent for 1 to 2 months, and I've already clashed with the foreign races more than 10 times. These foreign races have their own unique methods. It's really satisfying. Being cooped up in one's own race, how can one meet so many foreign races? Only after coming to this vast universe where the strongest are gathered in the foreign battlefield, can one truly feel the vastness of the universe and the diversity of the races. I've discovered many groups of foreign race warriors. Almost none of them are the same, most of them are from different races. This is after all the foreign battlefield, the battlefield of the four pinnacle races. A servant said respectfully, "When will my race become the pinnacle race?" The black-armored youth sighed, "Even though my race is a strong race and a pinnacle race, even though they're only one level apart. But the difference in strength is who knows how much. Whether it's the number of basic undyings, or the number of absolute warriors, we're not on the same level. Only by allying with the other strong races can we compete with the pinnacle races." "Your Majesty," a servant said respectfully, "there are after all only 6 pinnacle races in the universe. To become one is already extremely difficult. What's more, we have allied with the other strong races, a large alliance. Naturally we don't fear the pinnacle races, at least we can talk on equal terms." The black-armored youth nodded. In the universe, the 6 pinnacle races were the strongest of the trillions of races. However, that didn't mean they were invincible. After all, even though the other races couldn't compare to the 6 pinnacle races individually, if all of them were added together, they would be thousands to tens of thousands of times stronger than the 6 pinnacle races. After all, there were simply too many of them, hence there were many alliances in the universe. Even if they were individually weak, after forming an alliance, they could still compete with the 6 pinnacle races. There were strong and weak alliances too. The competition between the powers in the universe was extremely cruel. Even the arrogant space beasts, under the universe's environment, were forced to form the Space Beast Alliance, causing the other races to not dare to offend them. The space beasts could only do this much. As for the demon race trying to make the space beasts merge with them, the space beasts were extremely disdainful of the demon race. How could they possibly merge with them? The distance between the two ships was shrinking. 1 billion kilometers. This was the limit of Luo Feng's scanning device. It should be around 990 million kilometers away from us. Luo Feng could clearly feel the coordinates of the treasure. "Babata, have you discovered it? 990 million kilometers?" But Luo Feng, the detector didn't detect any universe ships at all at the 990 million kilometers mark. "I only discovered that at the 510 million kilometers and 780 million kilometers mark, there was a universe ship each," Babata said. "I didn't discover the target." Luo Feng. Luo Feng creased his eyebrows. "Continue to get closer, follow the coordinate." Luo Feng continued to order. The distance continued to shrink. 800 million kilometers, 700 million kilometers, 600 million kilometers. I haven't discovered it. Nope. Right now within the 420 million range, I haven't detected any ships. Babata said, "I haven't detected any other sub-light speed objects either." Luo Feng's expression was ashen. He had clearly sensed that the object was flying at sub-light speed, however the scanning device couldn't detect it. Then the biggest possibility was, the other party had a scanning device that was even more advanced than his. The automaton race before had a scanning device that was more advanced than mine. Don't tell me the life form I'm about to meet now has a scanning device that's also more advanced than mine? Luo Feng gritted his teeth. "Stop," Luo Feng ordered. The ship stopped, and the distant sword-shaped ship continued to move forward. Even though it wasn't completely opposite, the distance between them was still shrinking. 380 million kilometers. 360 million kilometers. 300 million kilometers. Luo Feng, who was constantly sensing the movement of the dot, could clearly feel that it had suddenly changed directions and was actually heading towards his direction. It was incredibly accurate, Obviously it had locked onto Luo Feng's ship. I've been discovered. Luo Feng fiercely opened his eyes. The other party has already discovered me. Luo Feng lowered his head and looked at the screen on his arm. The screen still didn't show the target he was looking for. There wasn't even a sub-light speed object. My scanning device hasn't been able to find the other party. However, at 300 million kilometers, he immediately confirmed my position and changed directions, flying precisely towards me. Obviously, he has an even more advanced scanning device. Within the sword-shaped ship. In the distance there's a black feathered human. He's the only one in the ship. He's probably one of the human winged people warriors. The servant said respectfully, Your Majesty's scanning device was also gifted by the knight. It's definitely one of the best scanning devices in the entire flaming sacrifice continent. That human undying didn't even sense it at all. The black-armored youth nodded. The distance between the two was shrinking. 200 million kilometers, 100 million kilometers. The sword-shaped ship headed straight towards Luo Feng's ship. The direction was precise and without any hesitation. What do I do? Luo Feng felt his entire body's cells tremble. His blood was boiling, excited, cheering, almost as though he was about to obtain some incredible treasure. This instinctive urge was forcefully suppressed by Luo Feng. I'll give it my all and fight. It's better to immediately dodge and flee. If I were to fight, the bug army has to be within 100,000 kilometers. If it's too far away, it'll be too easy to dodge. If I let the golden horned beast go, then there's a chance of it revealing its coordinates. I don't know which faction this ship belongs to. I can only confirm that it's not the human faction. If it's the automaton faction, the moment it sees the golden horned beast, it'll probably immediately inform the automaton enemy. The enemy will probably teleport and appear immediately. Luo Feng made an intense plan within. Yeah. What do I do? To have such a high-end scanning device, it's definitely not a normal official level undying. Either it has a huge background or it's extremely strong. And my Earth body can only deal with a low-level official level undying. To be able to use such a high-end scanning device, it can't be that it doesn't even have a low-level official level fighting strength. Luo Feng was anxious. He wanted to fight and snatch the treasures. However, his strength wasn't enough. The only hope he had was the golden horned beast, and there was a risk of it being exposed. If it really was exposed, then the automaton warrior's revenge would definitely be terrifying. He could very well lose his life. 90 million kilometers. 80 million kilometers. Luo Feng could clearly feel the distance shrinking. Chapter 8:24. The distance continued to close. Luo Feng, don't take the risk. Don't let the treasures get to your head. Babata anxiously transmitted his voice. This is the extraterritorial battlefield. Although you might be able to obtain treasures by taking the risk, whether it's against this team or against the mechanical race, your detection device is inferior to theirs. You're at a disadvantage. If you take the risk, you may lose your life. Luo Feng could clearly feel that point getting closer. 39 million kilometers. 50 million kilometers. The closer it got, the stronger the calling he felt. If his willpower wasn't strong enough, just his body's instincts would have made him charge madly for the treasures. Go! Luo Feng gritted his teeth and ordered, Go immediately, head to the transfer point. Yes, Babata said excitedly. So, the stopped universe ship suddenly sped up. After a while, it was flying at sublight speed outside the Yenji continent. This scene made the black-armored youth who was chasing behind frown. Your Majesty, the target has activated. His speed has reached sublight speed, and he's completely going around us. If we want to chase him, because his speed is similar, we can only try to get closer. I'm afraid it'll take a very long time to catch up. The prerequisite is that he doesn't know we're chasing him. A servant said. The black-armored youth shook his head. This human is lucky. Give up on this target. There are plenty of other strong warriors on the Yenji continent. Yes. The sword-shaped ship began to slow down and turn, heading towards its original direction. And so, the distance between the two ships began to gradually increase. Luo Feng sat in the control room holding the blood shadow blade. He gently caressed it and said softly, "A little impatience spoils big plans. More haste makes waste. I have to be calm. Right now my scanning apparatus is lower than the opponent's, and I can't use my strongest power. And I don't know anything about the opponent. I only know that to be able to use such a scanning apparatus, he's obviously a strong opponent with some background. If we fight now, I probably won't be able to beat him. I might even get myself into trouble." Luo Feng shook his head. "Endure. Anyway, he's already arrived at the Yenji continent. And looking at the direction, he's obviously going deep into the continent to explore it. From here, maintaining sublight speed to the transfer point would take about 3 months, and I'll be back in less than 4 months after returning to the barracks. Unless he's stupid enough to immediately return after arriving at the continent. Otherwise, when I return from the barracks, I can still find him," Luo Feng confirmed. Everyone who came to the Yenji continent, as long as they didn't die, had wandered for hundreds of years at the very least, or tens of thousands of years at the very most. The opponent's spaceship had just arrived at the Yazi continent after a long and arduous journey. Looking at the direction it was flying, it was clearly heading deep into the Yazi continent. The Yazi continent was vast and boundless. Once it was deep in, it would take a few years just to fly one round. I can sense it regardless of the distance. When I return, I'll be able to clearly sense his location. Yes, let's return to the barracks." Although he was unwilling, he could only endure it and wait until he returned from the base before taking action. They flew all the way from the Yenji continent to the teleportation point, and then traveled through the universe in the Dark Universe. Then, they traveled back to the original universe and headed for the 026 military camp. It took more than 3 months. Barracks base. The disc-shaped universe ship was like a grain of sand, while the base was like a huge planet. Luo Feng looked at the base from afar. It had a diameter of a few million km and was even larger than the Sun. It could be said to have reached the pinnacle of AAA god bases. The beautiful rainbow energy barrier energy cycle, the ancient cannons, along with the complicated and peculiar origin law engravings on them, it made even the current Luo Feng feel a chill down his spine. A war machine that was like an art. Soldier Luo Feng, from now on your ship will be under the control of the base. You are not allowed to resist. If you resist, you will be attacked by the base, bear the consequences. As the ship neared the base, it was forcefully stripped of control. The universe ship was controlled and entered through one of the pathways in the base. After flying for a while, it entered a large hall. Luo Feng, it was time to return. "Welcome, soldier." A silver-uniformed human attendant smiled as he welcomed Luo Feng, who walked out of the cabin. "Do you choose to retire or rest in the base?" "Rest." Luo Feng waved his hand and kept the ship in his world ring. "Please follow me." The attendant smiled. Luo Feng followed. The attendant said while saying, "As a free soldier, you don't have to follow the army's arrangements. You can freely choose when to fight and when to rest. You can choose to bring troops or not. However, it's rare to see a single person roaming the battlefield outside." "I don't like crowds." Luo Feng glanced at him. The attendant smiled. The two of them became 2 beams of light and flew, very quickly reaching the region 10,000 kilometers away. At the end of the pathway on the left is the entertainment area. Restaurants, gatherings, etc. are all there. And right ahead is where you free soldiers live. Free soldiers are treated much better than conscripted soldiers. The attendant smiled and said, "You'll be randomly assigned a place, you should receive a number, just follow that number and move in. As for the entertainment area, you can head to the left." If you want to head out to fight, just follow the path you came in from. Luo Feng nodded. Then I won't disturb you any further. The attendant was very polite and left. Luo Feng looked ahead. Not bad. Luo Feng complimented. In the 10,000 kilometers area, there were mountain ranges, rivers, forests, snow, deserts, etc. This was the best place in the base, almost like a vacation on a planet. For a base with a diameter of a few million km, opening up such a space was very easy. Luo Feng's place was on an island in the middle of a lake. Soldier Luo Feng, this island is your private island. During your stay, no one is allowed to enter. The beautiful island had become Luo Feng's private territory. Luo Feng walked on the soft sand, satisfied. Hey! A shout resounded from the distance. Luo Feng turned to look. On the distant island, there was a human undying warrior, dressed in a loose long robe, his entire body covered in green fur, standing barefooted on the beach. Even though the distance was quite far, both could see the sand around him with their naked eyes. That green-haired man smiled. My name is Ku Tua, welcome to being my neighbor. My name is Yang. Luo Feng smiled too. Yang, are you at the pinnacle of official level or emperor level? The distant Ku Tua smiled. HM? Luo Feng was curious, why are you asking this? Haha, this free territory is for free soldiers to live in. However, the residences are all different. Some are normal residences on land, some are slightly taller, which are large and comfortable villas. As for those who can occupy an entire island or a mountain peak, these top-notch residences are usually reserved for those with extremely high military merit. They are usually king-ranked martial artists. But I feel that your aura is like that of a peak-stage marquis conferred martial artist. Luo Feng laughed involuntarily. Yes. His military merits mainly depended on the golden horned beast, hence he earned quite a lot, and his efficiency was extremely high. The residences he was allocated were also for the emperor-level warriors, and after his earth body merged with the Wu killer wings, the pressure he released under his control was indeed comparable to an official-level pinnacle. I can barely be considered an emperor, Luo Feng said. However, I don't have a title yet. Haha, looks like you've improved in the alien battlefields. I'm Ku Tua. My title is Rumbling Emperor. The green-haired man on the distant island laughed. Very nice to meet you, I still have things to do. Once I'm done, let's go to the restaurant for a drink. Luo Feng smiled. All right. The green-haired man smiled. The strong were like that. If one wanted to make friends, they would usually make friends with others of similar strength. And with the internal arrangements of the army bases, they would naturally give the strong special treatment. Luo Feng then entered his own residence. This was a very tasteful residence. The island itself covered an area of about 1.2 square kilometers. There were some 1-story and 2-story ancient wooden buildings on the island. Around these ancient buildings, there were some ancient carvings, as well as various blue ponds of various shapes. It's a good place to take a vacation. Luo Feng kept the armor in his body and jumped into the warm pool in his pants. Lying in the pool, it was very comfortable. Time to study the spoils of war. Within the world of the World Ring, demon killer Luo Feng was dressed in black, standing before the huge broken pyramid ship. That automaton warrior is so rich, however this ship is his lifeline, otherwise he wouldn't have put a bounty on my head. Black-clothed Luo Feng followed the crack and entered the pyramid ship's pathway. Following the revolving pathway, he began to carefully inspect the cabins. Babata! Black-clothed Luo Feng shouted. With a wave of his hand, robots appeared out of thin air in the pathway. Arrange for us to carefully study this ship. Black-clothed Luo Feng ordered. Relax, leave it to me. One of the robots replied. The rest of the robots immediately began to scatter, and the black-clothed Luo Feng stood in front of a short G-grade automaton. This was the only G-grade automaton in the entire pyramid ship. However, when it was attacked by the Million Emperor Zerg army back then, Even though this automaton's body wasn't destroyed, the energy core within was completely shattered. After all, even the golden horned beast would be destroyed if it was hit, much less this automaton. This G-grade automaton, just the metal on its body is worth quite a bit. Black-clothed Luo Feng muttered. After which he used his world energy to scan, inspecting all the items on the automaton's body, very quickly discovering a world ring. It should be a ring that hides the automaton army. P.S. 2 chapters completed. Chapter 825. This world ring had always been controlled by the G-grade automaton, hence it didn't have any life imprints. It was an ownerless item. Immediately, the black-clothed Luo Feng used his world energy to scan it. Haha, the black-clothed Luo Feng was all smiles. There's indeed 1,000,000 automaton puppets, they're all F9 grade puppets, and they're all in perfect condition. Before, he had captured about 530,000 automaton puppets, however those were all damaged by the golden horned beast's attacks, and the ones within the world ring were all in perfect condition. Luo Feng, A1. 5M tall young-looking Babata ran over. Babata. Luo Feng looked over. Babata was a living AI, hence he could easily control a mechanical body. Back then, the Unmo planet master Hu Yenbo gave Babata a body using this method. However, using a metal body, this was a very normal method, it didn't help Babata much. The difficulty of a living AI's training and evolution was extremely high, unless one could obtain an evolution heart and fuse it into a metal body, then allowing the living AI to enter, then the living AI would completely fuse with the metal body. Just like the soul with the body. The living AI would also have the most precious body, the evolution body. That way, after a 100% fusion with the body, the clarity of the universe laws would rise greatly, at least reaching the level of a normal human warrior. And those without an evolution body, like Babata, may be able to barely train and comprehend. However, even after 1,000,000,000,000 years, they wouldn't be able to become undying. And with the evolution heart, only then would one have the right to become a true automaton warrior. 2. As the training progressed, the automaton warrior's body would constantly strengthen, and the flexibility, toughness, etc. would be perfect, almost like a real body. Hence the evolution heart was very important. Unfortunately, the evolution heart, only the automaton race had it. This was the most important and core treasure of the mechanical race. Thus, the mechanical race had a very strict control over the evolution heart and forbade any member of the mechanical race from selling the evolution heart. This had long been integrated into the core of every member of the mechanical race. The mechanical race could produce a large number of evolution hearts and nurture many members of the mechanical race, but they definitely would not sell any evolution heart, no matter how high the price was. As a result, it was extremely difficult for humans, demons, and many other alien races to purchase an evolution heart, because the difficulty of obtaining one was too high. And the evolution heart was something only the automaton race had. So, every evolution heart had a price of over 10 billion mixed elements. This was pretty much the entire wealth of an emperor undying. This meant that, unless the artificial intelligence that accompanied them was a life and death brother, or a super expert with a huge amount of wealth, no one would be willing to buy an evolution heart. For the time being, Babata did not dare to think about the heart of evolution. He had never had the heart of evolution. He would be satisfied if he could have a metal body. Luo Feng, don't force your way through those undamaged F9 level automatons. Babata shouted. The black-clothed Luo Feng lowered his head to look at Babata. Those mechanical puppets that are in good condition all have defensive measures. Once they are forcefully attacked, it will trigger the self-destruction sequence. Babata continued, right now, that automaton expert is incomparably far away from us and is unable to control these mechanical golems. However, if we were to attack, it wouldn't be worth it to self-destruct. Black-clothed Luo Feng said. Of course there's a way to control them. It's just that my infiltration ability isn't enough. Babata smiled. Hence there's no need to forcefully attack them. Probe their insides and sell them. Like the Virtual Universe Company, they have the ability to easily attack them. All we need to do is pay them a small fee. Luo Feng nodded. This infiltration was better left to the professionals. What, inspection complete? Black-clothed Luo Feng looked at Babata. Babata nodded. Inspection complete. The entire damaged pyramid ship has many items within, a total of 4 types. First is the damaged pyramid ship itself. This is an F9 grade ship, coupled with an extremely high-level energy defense. In terms of energy defense, it's even higher level than the UNMO planet ship. It's a pity that it was already damaged in the earlier attack. The ship immediately split apart, causing its value to be mainly due to the large amounts of F9 grade metal. Its estimated value is only about 5 million mixed element. Second is the G-grade metal puppet. This G-grade metal puppet, even though it's not a large one, it's still a G-grade metal piece. It's much more useful than your ghost blade and shield. Its estimated value is about 20 million mixed element. Third is the 530,000 automaton puppets with damaged energy cores and 1 million undamaged automaton puppets. The total value is about 800 million mixed element. Fourth, and also the most valuable, are the expensive instruments in the core cabin. These instruments are all made of G and F grade metals. The energy processes are extremely complicated. Even I don't dare to carefully inspect them. However, just the metal used for those instruments alone is worth over 500 million. The technology and techniques within are even more complicated. The price is estimated to be very high. As for exactly how high, I can't be sure. Just these 4. The total value is definitely very high. It's at least much more than all the other spoils of war Luo Feng's over 1,000 years. Your spoils of war from over 1,000 years add up. I estimate it's only about 100 million mixed element. It's far from this time. Luo Feng nodded and smiled. He didn't open for business for 3 years, but once he did, he would eat for 3 years. It was still very profitable to deal with these warriors with powerful backgrounds. He had only captured one of the 9 ships and his rewards were so huge. That automaton warrior's wealth indeed shocked Luo Feng. How much? Luo Feng pondered. I'll give you a suggestion. First ask the Virtual Universe Company for a price. Babata said. Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng first used the scanning device to scan the various items. The data was all recorded and then he simulated it in the virtual universe. Virtual Universe Primal Region, Luo Feng's Villa. Respectable Your Majesty Luo Feng, it's an honor to meet you. To be able to receive your invitation, it really makes me, Nosi Wu, extremely happy. Dressed in a luxurious green long robe, a chubby head and a pair of dead fish eyes, Undying bowed humbly, expressing his respect to Luo Feng. Luo Feng was the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader. His position was extremely high. Thank you. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng pointed at the empty space beside. There was a damaged pyramid ship parked there. This was all simulated. This is? Nosi Wu was curious. This is my spoils of war. I want to ask, as the head of the purchasing department, what price can you offer? Luo Feng asked. The Virtual Universe Company naturally had a purchasing department. Normally they would let the AIs handle the purchases. The higher-end ones would be handled by the internal members. Like Nosi Wu, he was one of the head managers of the purchasing department. He usually dealt with Emperor-level undyings. The ship is already damaged. I estimate it to be a few million mixed elements, Nosi Wu said casually. He often dealt with Emperor-level undyings. A few million mixed elements transaction didn't bother him at all. The real spoils of war are within the ship. Luo Feng smiled. Follow me. Ah! Nosi Wu was shocked. He was curious about this direct disciple of the primal Chaos City leader. Following Luo Feng, he entered the damaged pyramid ship. This is an automaton ship. It should belong to an automaton of some status. Naswa looked at some of the decorations and styles in the spaceship and smiled as he judged. When he first saw the G-grade metal puppet, he nodded and praised. G-grade metal puppet. The metal itself is worth 20 million mixed element unit. This is the one. 53 million automaton I've acquired, of which 530,000 are damaged and 1 million are intact. This is the damaged sample and this is the intact sample. This is the most valuable equipment I've acquired. It can be used to set up extremely powerful equipment. It can even trap an Emperor-level absolute warrior. After looking at it, Nosi Wu was shocked. Even an Emperor-level Undying had a net worth of over 1 billion mixed element. It was rare for a transaction to reach 1 billion mixed element. These automatons, the damage is very light. Only the energy cores have been shaken and cracked. They can't operate. The important parts are fine. 53 million automatons. Even in the automaton race, they are considered the best of the F9 grade. It would probably cost at least a few hundred mixed element. If it were us humans, the manufacturing cost would be higher than the automaton race. On average, each one would require 1,000 mixed element. Hence, I can give you a price of 1.5 billion mixed element. Of course, the most expensive is this batch of equipment. This batch of equipment, the materials used are expensive. Most importantly, many of the techniques used are already considered the pinnacle of the automaton race's technology. It would probably require a Universe Knight to spend a lot of effort to create it. To invite a Universe Knight level automaton master, the cost is extremely high. It's a pity it's only a part of it. This batch of equipment, I can give you a price of 3 billion mixed element. Nosi Wu finally gave such a price to Luo Feng. Including those miscellaneous items, I can raise the price slightly. Rounding it up, I'll give you 4.6 billion mixed element. Nosi Wu smiled. I wouldn't be so generous to normal Emperor-level Undyings. 4.6 billion mixed elements. Luo Feng was elated within. Thanks, I'll think about it. Luo Feng said. Haha, no rush. If you want to sell, look for me anytime. Nosi Wu smiled. Your Majesty, Luo Feng's gains this time are huge. Especially that equipment, it's a Universe Knight automaton master's hard work. If you can gather a complete set, the price will be much higher. Luo Feng nodded. Nosi Wu then left. Haha, the Virtual Universe Company is willing to offer 4.6 billion mixed element. Luo Feng smiled. My gains this time are huge. It's actually made by a Universe Knight level automaton master. That automaton warrior has quite a background. Your luck is not bad. Babata laughed. Messing with a huge enemy. However, the benefits of that enemy are huge too. Fortune and misfortune come hand in hand. This is a blessing, not a misfortune. Luo Feng smiled. Right now I have to think through what channels to sell it and how to get a high price. P.S. Chapter 1. Chapter 826. How could he sell his spoils of war for as high a price as he could? I still have to rely on the internet. Within the study, Luo Feng sat at his desk, looking at the screen before him. Babata was using the internet to search for information on how to sell his spoils of war. As the information appeared, Luo Feng carefully read through it. Great Alliance? Luo Feng looked at the screen and frowned. According to the information, humanity's most expensive and rarest items are usually traded in the Great Alliance? Those expensive treasures, only the Great Alliance has a large number of absolute warriors that can give them a high price. That makes sense, however I haven't been recruited by the Great Alliance yet. After thinking for a while, Luo Feng contacted his teacher Tru Yen. Do A golden armored ape-man's silhouette suddenly appeared on the screen. It was Tru Yen. His gaze was like lightning as he looked at Luo Feng, laughing loudly. "My precious disciple, why have you thought of contacting your teacher?" "Teacher," Luo Feng said respectfully, "there's something I need to trouble you with." Tru Yen smiled. "It's like this," Luo Feng swiftly said. "I've acquired some valuable spoils of war from the foreign battlefields. However, I'm not willing to sell them directly to the Virtual Universe Company's purchasing department. I want to ask for your help to sell my spoils of war in the Great Alliance." Tru Yen raised his eyebrows. "You want to send it to the Hong Alliance and sell it there?" Luo Feng nodded. "The Great Alliance is not simple," Tru Yen reminded. "The Great Alliance is an alliance formed mainly by the human race and large amounts of other races. Only those with at least an Emperor-level undying have the right to become an official member of the Great Alliance. Even the servant and servant slots are fought over by the other races to send sector lords and undyings in. There are countless super experts gathered here, and it's common for them to trade treasures. Quite a few experts know of the name Tru Yen, monarch of your teacher. It's not impossible for me to help you sell your spoils of war. I only have one condition: it has to be a treasure. Otherwise I won't be able to afford to lose face." Tru Yen said. "What counts as a treasure?" Luo Feng asked. "At least 1 billion mixed elements and above." Tru Yen said. "If it doesn't reach 1 billion mixed element units, don't embarrass me. Teacher, this is the detailed information of the loot I want to sell. I'll send it to you." Luo Feng immediately sent a mail over. "These spoils of war, the Virtual Universe Company's purchasing department has set the price at 4.6 billion mixed element." 4.6 billion? Tru Yen was shocked, staring wide-eyed at this disciple of his. The Virtual Universe Company's acquisition department's price is definitely extremely low. They can even offer 4.6 billion? "My disciple, who exactly did you rob? You've earned the wealth of a normal titled Emperor undying in an instant." Luo Feng smiled. Tru Yen too began to look through the detailed information Luo Feng sent over. TSK, a machine race grandmaster at the universe venerable level, made a precise special instrument? This thing is worth a lot. Tru Yen nodded repeatedly. "My disciple, leave this matter to me. I will help you sell it for the highest price possible." "Haha, I thought it was wise of you to accept a disciple. At the very least, your ability to earn treasures is greater than your third senior brother's." Luo Feng smiled mischievously. "This matter will take half a day if it's quick, 3 to 5 days if it's slow. Just wait for my news." Tru Yen didn't say much, immediately closing the communication and going to help Luo Feng settle this matter. Actually selling such expensive treasures gave him a sense of accomplishment. Tru Yen had been in Primal Chaos City for countless years and indeed rarely sold treasures. This time, he happily went to the Great Alliance and used his connections to think of ways to sell them for a high price. Right now, he had 2 teachers, one was Tru Yen and the other was the Primal Chaos City leader. Luo Feng had interacted with Tru Yen for a long time. Along with Tru Yan's straightforward temperament, he didn't care about the small details. Hence, Luo Feng was very relaxed in front of Tru Yen. And against the Primal Chaos City leader, Luo Feng felt a formless pressure. He was extremely respectful and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Hence, for some matters, Luo Feng would rather ask his teacher Tru Yen than trouble the Primal Chaos City leader. Unless it was a big matter, he wouldn't disturb the Primal Chaos City leader. 3 to 5 days if it's slow? Luo Feng sat at his desk, gently tapping on the screen. "Then I'll study the scanning device first." Hua! On the page appeared the detailed data of the scanning device. SFRET 01-102983 model. Scanning radius of 1 billion kilometers, requires 5 million points. the lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, you can receive 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. SFRET 02 102983 model. Scanning radius of 300 million kilometers, requires 4 million points. The lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, you can receive 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. SDU 01 000001 model. Scanning radius of 1 billion kilometers, requires 50 billion points. The lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, the highest discount is 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. SDU 02 000001 model. Scanning radius of 300 million kilometers, requires 40 billion points. The lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, the highest discount is 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. A111 192039 model. Scanning radius of 100 kilometers, requires 1 million points. The lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, the highest discount is 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. A112 192039 model. Scanning radius of 20 kilometers, requires 800,000 points. The lowest discount is 50%, the highest discount is 10%, the highest discount is 40%. Detailed data can be viewed here. There were two main types of scanning devices. One was the super large range, usually with a radius of 100 million kilometers, 300 million kilometers, and 1 billion kilometers. The higher-end ones, usually with a radius of 300 million kilometers and 1 billion kilometers. The other was the super small range, usually with a radius of 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, and 100 kilometers. The higher-end ones were even more common at 20 kilometers and 100 kilometers. The large scanning device was used to scan ships from far away, making it easier to set up. The small scanning device was usually used for exploring universe secret regions, where it was easier to scan within a small range. As the range was small, it allowed for higher-level scanning. Luo Feng constantly flipped through the various information. There were many high-end scanning devices that even Primal Region members couldn't see. Even though Luo Feng could see them, he couldn't afford them. Looking at the astronomical prices of tens of billions and hundreds of billions of points, Luo Feng could only blink. Astronomical prices. Even if I get a 40% discount, I still can't afford it. Luo Feng pondered, what level of scanning device should I buy this time? 10 million points? Over 100 million? Billions? Back then in Primal Chaos City, Luo Feng didn't have any experience in buying a scanning device. He only looked at the information regarding the outer region battlefields before buying one. However, after spending over 1,000 years in the outer region battlefields, and having suffered losses, Luo Feng was very clear on what he needed. I'm too stupid. There's no need to chase after a 1 billion kilometers radius. A large scanning range of 300 million kilometers is enough. At the same time, I have to buy a specialized small-scale scanning device. The large-scale scanning device's small-scale scanning capabilities are very average. One big and one small scanning device. The large scanning device, there are two choices. One is 2 billion points. The next level is 6 billion points. The small scanning device, I'll have to spend more money too. Luo Feng pondered. I'll just have to see what price teacher can get for my spoils of war. Luo Feng had many things he wanted to buy now. The most important was the scanning device, followed by the cloud contact vine and other important items. However, they all required money. Kutua, young, dressed in black armor, with a pair of black wings on his back, Luo Feng was currently drinking with a green-armored green-haired man, clinking glasses and drinking. Yang, how's your harvest? Kutua asked. Just average. You should know that the official level Undying have an undying body. Killing an official is extremely hard. Luo Feng raised his glass. Over 1,000 years, I've only killed about 100 official levels, and most of them were beginner levels. Very few of them were upper levels, and that's because I'm lucky. Accumulating points is simply too slow. With an undying body, it's very hard to kill. That green-haired man put down his glass angrily, shaking his head. I too have the strength of an emperor. Those official levels are obviously weaker than me, but I can't do anything to them. You've killed about 100 official levels in 1,000 years, that's not bad. Your efficiency is even higher than mine. Right, which battlefield are you at? Yanji Continent, Luo Feng said. Yanji Continent? Ku Tuo stared. You already have the strength of an emperor, and you're still at Yanji Continent? You can totally go to Star Tower. I'm at Star Tower. The 7th battlefield's most dangerous place? Luo Feng laughed. There were a few of the most dangerous places in the 7th battlefield. Amongst these terrifying places, the closest to Army Camp number 026 was Star Tower. Even though it's dangerous, it's also filled with opportunities. Ku Tuo advised, when are we going together? Let's work together. Ku Tuo. Ku Tuo. 3 voices resounded. In the distance, 3 silhouettes walked over. The formless pressure they emitted was shocking. Even though this restaurant was huge, the other normal undyings and official level undyings all consciously distanced themselves from this region, because the ones chatting here were all the emperors. Ku Tuo waved his hand and said to Luo Feng, those 3 are my comrades from Star Tower. I've roamed with them before, let me introduce them to you. Luo Feng nodded. Come, let me introduce you to my new friend Yang. Ku Tuo shouted to the other 3 emperors. In Army Camp number 026, Luo Feng quietly waited for his teacher's reply while making friends with the emperors. Finally, on the 3rd day after arriving at the camp, Tru Yen contacted Luo Feng. P.S. 2 chapters completed. Chapter 8:27. The morning was cold, mist shrouded the entire lake. On an island in the lake, Luo Feng was lying in a warm pool, relaxing. At this time, Tru Yen contacted him. Hurry to my Thunder Island Palace. Yes, teacher. Virtual Universe Thunder Island. Gathered here were countless undyings from the Virtual Universe Company. Within one of the halls of Tru Yan's palace. Your Majesty, the Lord and the others are here. The servant led Luo Feng outside the hall. Disciple, hurry in. Tru Yan's voice resounded from within the hall. Luo Feng immediately stepped in. With a glance, there were 3 warriors seated at a table. One was Tru Yen, the second was a winged, golden-eyed foreign race warrior, and the third was a tall silhouette that was completely black like ink, almost like it was made from black mud. Teacher. Luo Feng shouted respectfully after entering. Haha. Tru Yen laughed. Let me introduce you. These 2 are experts from the outsiders. This is the Lust Devil King and this is the Blackheart King. Tru Yen pointed at the golden-eyed warrior and the black mud warrior and said. The 2 of them were all smiles, of which the golden-eyed Desire Demon Emperor laughed. This is your disciple Tru Yen, and also the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader. Tru Yen, you don't have to introduce your disciple. He's very famous. The expert that seemed to be formed from black mud also nodded slightly. Disciple, sit. Tru Yen pointed at a chair. Yes. Luo Feng sat. I've already discussed everything for you. Tru Yen explained, the G-grade automaton and the 1.53 million automatons will all be given to Desire Demon Emperor. As for the equipment, it will be given to Blackheart Emperor. The price has also been settled. Desire Demon Emperor is willing to pay 1.8 billion mixed element. Blackheart Emperor is willing to pay for 3 billion mixed element. Luo Feng nodded within as he heard. Like the automatons, these warriors all had their own channels to purchase them. The Virtual Universe Company was willing to buy them for 5 billion, but they usually sold them for about 2 billion. Therefore, the bid of 1.8 billion was considered the highest bid because mechanical puppets were commonly seen. A portion of the 9 Extremes Divine Nations apparatus was a rare item, extremely rare. To those who did not like to manufacture mechanical weapons, it was not very valuable. However, to those who liked mechanical items, it was a true treasure. They could completely study this apparatus in detail, and study the manufacturing methods of the machine race's venerable universe. Luo Feng, the Black Clay Warrior Black Heart Emperor, said, "What other information do you know about this machine?" "This is one of the instruments used to set up the 9 Ultimate Divine Kingdom." Luo Feng immediately explained, "The moment the 9 Extreme God Country is set up, even an Emperor Pinnacle Warrior would be trapped, and with that special automaton puppet, it can unleash all sorts of attacks. It's truly powerful." "Yes." The Blackheart King's eyes lit up, and he nodded with a smile. "Entanglement? Trap mode? Let's trade immediately." "All right." Luo Feng nodded. Luo Feng, Blackheart Emperor and Desire Demon Emperor discussed for a while, swiftly confirming the transaction method with the Virtual Universe Company as the intermediary. The Virtual Universe Company would be responsible for the delivery and confirmation of the goods. This intermediary business, the highest fee was 1,000 mixed dollars, the lowest was 1 mixed dollar. Luo Feng's business deal, as Blackheart Emperor and Desire Demon Emperor were both outside the human domain, hence both deals were 100 mixed dollars. To Luo Feng, who was about to earn 1 billion mixed dollars, this was indeed a small amount, not worth mentioning. After the deal was done, that Blackheart Emperor and Desire Demon Emperor had the intention of befriending the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader. After all, both of their races were vassal races of humanity. For these vassal warriors, even if they were human soldiers, they would still use the mixed element currency. Humans had too much influence on their races, hence the Primal Chaos City leader's level of existence required the vassal races to look up to him and respect him. To be able to befriend Luo Feng, they were very happy. The banquet was set up, they ate and chatted. In the middle of the banquet, a team from the Virtual Universe Company went to Luo Feng's place to collect the goods. Goods confirmed. Blackheart Emperor and Desire Demon Emperor naturally paid Luo Feng's account too. After the banquet, Desire Demon Emperor, who was discussing a trip to a universe secret region, suddenly stood up. "What's up?" Blackheart Emperor and True Yen Emperor looked shocked at him. Luo Feng was curious too. "There's a Blood River crystal auction in the Great Alliance. The auction is about to begin," Desire Demon Emperor said solemnly, his eyes filled with suppressed excitement. "Blood River crystal auction?" Blackheart Emperor and True Yen Emperor were shocked too. Let's see if I can get my hands on the crystals this time." Desire Demon Emperor's eyes were filled with desire, after which he smiled. "True Yen, you've already reached the limits of an emperor, comparable to a normal universe knight. Blood River crystals, don't fight with me for them." "Blood River crystals are effective even to a universe knight. Who says I shouldn't fight for them?" True Yen mocked. "I'll fight for them. Anyway, there's plenty to fight for." Desire Demon Emperor shook his head. Let's go participate in the auction." "You two go first," True Yen said. "Luo Feng, we'll leave first." Desire Demon Emperor and Blackheart Emperor said to Luo Feng and hurriedly left, vanishing into thin air within the palace. Only True Yen and Luo Feng were left in the palace. "Teacher, what's with the Blood River crystal auction? I remember Blood River crystals are forbidden items, forbidden from being sold, etc." Luo Feng asked. "Ah, right, you've been to Blood River continent before." True Yen smiled and nodded. "You have to remember one thing, any so-called forbidden items are all relative. No matter how precious a treasure is, it might be a forbidden item to sector lords, but to undying beings, it can be traded. If it's forbidden to an undying, however, to a universe knight, Even if it isn't, it depends on who it is. Ah. Luo Feng could only nod. Right. That was indeed the case. The Great Alliance is a human alliance with many races. Of course there would be many precious items. True, Yen said. Then the Blood River crystals? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. Absorbing the crystals was extremely difficult. A normal human absorbing 10 crystals was already an unbelievable thing. Then what was the point of auctioning them? Why would even the Universe Knights fight for the crystals? Luo Feng asked. To absorb the crystals is very difficult. Of course it's difficult. At Sector Lord level, one's body and genes are developed to the extreme. For a human warrior to be able to absorb 10 crystals at once is already unbelievable. True Yen laughed loudly. However, the Blood River crystals, those are crystals formed from the essence of the fallen beast god. That's the crystallization of the beast god's blood. The beast god, that's a being comparable to the universe lord, and as a naturally born powerful life form of the universe, the embodiment of the space and gold laws, the wonders of the Blood River crystal, how could there only be one way to absorb it? Luo Feng was stunned as he listened. So it was like that, the fall of the beast god, the blood of the beast god? The Blood River crystal has many uses, even to the knights of the universe they are of great benefit. True Yen shook his head. However, the upper echelons of humanity have very tight restrictions on the crystals and other important treasures. They usually give priority to the absolute warriors. Hence, occasionally there would be a small amount of Blood River crystals leaked out. These Blood River crystals, to any flesh and blood life form, they are treasures. Every 100 crystals are used as a unit, because 100 crystals can produce 1 drop of beast god blood. True Yen said. However, I've reached the pinnacle of emperor level, and what I lack now is origin law comprehension. External treasures are useless, hence I won't fight for it. True Yen smiled. When I become a knight, I'll probably have to fight for it too. Haha, the Blood River crystal auction has always attracted many warriors. I'll go join in the fun. You can go back. Luo Feng replied, Yes, teacher. Shua. True Yen vanished from the hall. Blood River crystal? 100 Blood River crystals can refine a drop of beast god blood? Luo Feng muttered, To any flesh and blood life form, it's a treasure, even the knights fight for it. How sinister. Back then, the Virtual Universe Company quoted a price of 600 points for each crystal to us universe-level punks. Luo Feng couldn't help but reveal a weird smile, shaking his head. Right, if it's just the universe-level punks, there's no need to pay such a high price. And to the Virtual Universe Company, the chance for the universe-level punks to acquire the crystals was given by them, hence the price was reasonable. However, how would those punks know that the Blood River crystal is an incomparably important treasure to the emperors and knights? So, Luo Feng too vanished from thin air. 100 Blood River crystals only required 1 drop of beast god blood, and normal universe-level geniuses would find it hard to even acquire a few crystals in Blood River world. Someone like Luo Feng, who looked like a universe-level, yet had a domain lord-level body, and one that was proficient in stealth and assassination, a Masha clansman body. It was too rare. And back then Luo Feng relied on the Masha clansmen to steal close to 10,000 crystals. Back then, when he was buying them for 600 points, Luo Feng suppressed his desire to exchange for large amounts of points. He firmly believed that the crystals were treasures, he couldn't just sell them like that. Haha, back then I never thought that the use of the Blood River crystal would be this great. Luo Feng walked out of the pool. Water droplets rolled off his body, and the cold air outside assaulted him. However, it made him feel refreshed. Luo Feng casually lay on a chair beside. The more he thought about it, the happier he got. Smart, he really was smart to keep all the crystals. Now, he had really earned big. Right. Back then, when my Earth body was at universe level, I only absorbed 3 crystals. Right now I'm already Sector Lord Pinnacle, and I've also trained the Nameless Manual. My genes have evolved. Luo Feng thought, it's time to try absorbing the crystals again. All these years, he had never tried it. It was because absorbing 3 crystals back then was too difficult. Even the Black Warrior in the history of Blood River Continent was a legend. He probably couldn't even absorb 10 crystals. If he couldn't absorb 10 crystals, the increase in his strength would be extremely limited. Hence, he didn't try it. Just like that, a few thousand years had passed. It's time to try. Luo Feng couldn't help but get up and walk into his study to prepare to absorb the crystals. P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. The secret of the Blood River crystal has finally been revealed. Waha! Chapter 828. Within the study, Luo Feng sat cross-legged. Every time I absorb one, the difficulty increases by 10 times. However, my body's genes are much stronger than back then. I wonder how many I can absorb. Luo Feng didn't have the confidence to absorb 10 crystals, because in Blood River Continent, the Black Warrior had long become a legend. From the absorption back then, his genes could only be considered above average. Even with the Nameless Manual, he was only at the first level. To rely on this to become a Black Warrior was very difficult. Begin. Luo Feng flipped his hand and a Blood River crystal appeared. The Blood River crystal was a triangular-shaped long crystal. It was completely blood-red and slightly translucent. It emitted a formless ripple, almost like a heart beating. The ripple constantly transmitted. Back then when I first saw the crystal, I felt like it had life. Only now do I know that it's actually the blood crystal of a fallen beast god. Luo Feng gently sliced his palm, causing a cut to appear. Fresh blood seeped out and the crystal immediately touched his blood. The killing aura invasion and body modification. Luo Feng was already familiar with this. To someone who had absorbed the 100th crystal before, this little bit of pain was nothing. After a while, after finishing the 4th, Luo Feng was very calm. He had expected that he would have to absorb another 5 or 6. I wonder how many I can absorb. Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out the 5th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. The 7th was a success. Luo Feng's face was covered in sweat from the pain. However, his eyes gleamed, filled with excitement. I actually succeeded in absorbing the 7th. Back then on Blood River World, that blood god Baki was an absolute genius that only appeared once in countless years. Even he only absorbed 8 crystals. My body's genes aren't that outstanding. Could it be that after training the first level of the Nameless Manual, I've undergone a complete transformation? Continue with the 8th. Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out another crystal. Absorb. Another success. I've caught up to Baki. Luo Feng blinked. Let's try the 9th. Luo Feng couldn't help but feel a sense of desire. Who knows, he might really become a Black Warrior. As he absorbed the 9th crystal, the killing aura invasion was easily blocked. As the Blood River energy entered his body, Luo Feng's muscles and skin began to tear. Kacha. His bones broke, following which the Blood River energy returned to the 9th crystal. The 9th absorption failed. To be able to absorb 8 has already exceeded my expectations. My genes are only those of an Earth human. The only special thing is that I've trained in the first level of the Nameless Manual. This actually makes me comparable to the absolute genius of Blood River World, Blood God Baki. Luo Feng was shocked within. The Nameless Manual was indeed unbelievable. In fact, when one's gene reached its limit, it would be very difficult to improve it further. The first level of the Nameless Secret Manual could increase one's overall combat strength by 3 times. How shocking was the evolution of the gene to have such a powerful effect. Absorbing 8 of them has very little effect on one's battle strength. Luo Feng shook his head. Fusing 3, 10, and 100 of them all had their limit. When he fused with 3 of them, His compatibility with the universe origin source doubled, reaching twice as high as before. After fusing with 10 of them, the compatibility with the origin source of the universe was 3 times that of the original state. And when he activated the blood river power, even the genes of his body would undergo a short period of transformation, and his strength would soar. And now, he had only fused 8 of them. Compared to when he had fused 3, his overall strength had only increased by 30 to 40%. Luo Feng was drenched in sweat as he walked out of the study. He walked barefooted on the ground, and with a splash, he jumped into the pool and lay comfortably on the slippery rock at the side of the pool. To be able to absorb 8 crystals, Luo Feng was still rather satisfied. Even though the increase in strength was limited, at least it meant that the Nameless Manual was indeed powerful. If I can get the second level of the Nameless Manual, allowing my body to undergo another huge change, I might be able to absorb 10 crystals. Luo Feng shook his head helplessly. Such a heavenly technique, to be able to get the first level was already a huge fortune. How hard would it be to get the second level? Since my earth body can't absorb it, I'll let the golden horned beast try and continue absorbing the crystals. Luo Feng laid on the rock, allowing the warm water to ripple. At the same time, he let the golden horned beast begin absorbing the crystals within his internal world. Luo Feng didn't have much expectations for the golden horned beast to absorb the crystals. This was because his right claw had already reached a saturated state after absorbing 100 crystals. One must know that Luo Feng's willpower had long been able to resist the invasion of the 101 crystals. However, his right claw couldn't absorb any more blood river energy. And the moment it was activated, the beast god head roared. It was already a very perfect image. The right claw had reached its limit. Then to absorb, he could only let the other parts of his body do it. However, no matter how strong his willpower was, even if he could absorb another 100 crystals, he would at most let the other parts have the same strength as his right claw. Even so, the golden horned beast's overall strength would only double from before. And this was under the situation of absorbing another 100 crystals. One must know that absorbing each crystal was much harder than before. Luo Feng didn't even dare to think that. 101 crystals, 102 crystals. The internal world began to absorb the golden horned beast. This time, he chose to absorb its back. Because the back was the core of the body's strength, and the wings were on its back too. If the back was strong enough, it would be easier to control the Wu Slayer wings and withstand the load. I've just absorbed the crystals on my back, so the changes to the genes on my back are starting from 0. The pain is still very weak. Luo Feng revealed a smile as he lay in the pool. He absorbed the crystals one by one. 110 crystals, 120 crystals, 130 crystals. The killing aura invasion was getting stronger and stronger. However, back when he absorbed the 100 crystals, he had only lived for a few hundred years. And now, after a few thousand years, his long years of comprehension, getting close to the universe origin laws, had indeed nurtured his consciousness, causing his willpower to change. And over the long years, Luo Feng had comprehended even more mysteries. Even though his mental state was still at the first level, his willpower was much stronger. A higher level didn't necessarily mean a lower level was stronger. The second level, Heart of a Newborn, was usually much stronger than the first level, Clarity of Mind. However, Luo Feng's extreme path of constantly strengthening himself, his willpower was at least much stronger than Thunder God back when he was less than 100 years old and comprehended the second level. 140 crystals, 150 crystals, 160 crystals, 162 crystals, 163 crystals, 164 crystals, 165 crystals. The 166th crystal has failed. My willpower can't take it anymore. In the pool, Luo Feng revealed a smile. To be able to absorb 165 crystals is already not bad. The further I go, the harder it gets. My willpower has improved quite a bit over these few thousand years. Even though he had absorbed 65 crystals on his back, the golden horned beast's overall strength had only risen by about 10%. As the increase in the strength of the back was only a small portion of the golden horned beast's strength, far from its right claw. Hence the increase in strength was limited. Luo Feng's fourth day in the army base. Rumble. 3 silhouettes flew above the mountain lake, very quickly reaching the edge of Luo Feng's private island. Haha, you've finally arrived. Luo Feng walked out with big steps. Sir, these are the goods you ordered, they're all here. The leader of the 3 was an undying, respectfully handing over a world ring. This world ring is also a gift for you, sir. The world ring flew towards Luo Feng and floated before him. Luo Feng was obviously excited as he received it. He had fought so hard for so long and spent so much effort, all for these goods. He had spent all of his 1 billion mixed elements to purchase the items in this ring. With such a huge transaction, it was very normal for him to give away a world ring that was only worth about 1 mixed element. We won't disturb you any further. Go. Luo Feng waved his hand, after which he couldn't help but turn and return to his quarters. The 3 service workers from the Virtual Universe Company didn't even step foot on the island. As this was a private island, the army had rules. Without Luo Feng's permission, other life forms were forbidden from entering. I've finally arrived. I've spent all 1 billion. Luo Feng sat in a chair beside the pool, immediately letting the Masha clansmen begin to inspect the goods. Back when he traded with Black Heart Emperor and Desire Demon Emperor, he got 1 billion mixed element. Luo Feng then exchanged them for 1 billion points. Under normal circumstances, one had to become an undying to have the authority to exchange points. However, ever since Luo Feng became the direct disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, his authority was extremely high, even higher than many emperors. Naturally, he had the authority to exchange for points. Exchanging for 1 billion points, along with the remaining 180 million from back then, Luo Feng began to spend. 1. He bought 2 scanning devices. The large scanning device cost 2 billion points, only a few emperors were willing to spend so much. The mini scanning device cost 8 billion points. Even though it only scanned a 20 kilometers area, the price wasn't much different. As the scanning area was small, its precision was comparable to those large scanning devices that cost hundreds of billions of points. This also meant with this mini scanning device, as long as an absolute warrior scanned Luo Feng, even if the large scanning device couldn't detect him, the mini scanning device would know beforehand. 2. He bought the best materials needed to nurture the cloud contact vine to become undying, spending a total of 53 billion points. Of course, with this, the cloud contact vine's chances of becoming undying was only 50%. 3. He bought a Fire God Origin Crystal, comparable to an Emperor-level warrior's self-destruction. It was enough to kill an Emperor-level warrior and heavily injure an Emperor Pinnacle warrior, spending 800 million points. Back when Luo Feng had 3 billion points in Primal Chaos City, he used it to exchange for the Fire God Origin Crystal. Back then, he exchanged for 2 Fire God Origin Crystals comparable to a low-level Emperor's self-destruction, spending 400 million points. However, he never got the chance to use it. The 3 added together, he spent a total of 13 billion points, leaving Luo Feng with only 150 million points. Luo Feng couldn't take it anymore. To let the cloud contact vine evolve to an undying, the process requires quite a bit of time. I'll let it evolve on the way back. I'll leave now, back to the Sacrifice Flame continent. After bidding farewell to the emperors and undyings that he had befriended in the past few days, Luo Feng sat in a universe ship and left Base 026 alone, on his way back. Update complete. Tomorrow was a rest day, Saturday. However, Tomato was late updating twice. Hence, there would be an update tomorrow. 50% chance of evolution. Everyone, do you think the cloud contact vine can become undying? Chapter 829. This was a frisbee-shaped E9 grade universe ship. From the closest shuttle point outside the barracks, it entered the dark universe. Within the dark universe, the ship is moving at light speed in the dark universe. Estimated time of arrival is 122 hours. Babata's voice resounded within the control room. Slightly increase the speed. Luo Feng ordered. I guarantee we'll reach the shuttle point in 3.5 days. Yes. The ship slightly increased its speed and maintained a constant speed as it continued to move forward. Luo Feng closed his eyes and said softly, according to the plan, the cloud contact vine's complete evolution process requires 3 days. I hope it succeeds. Within the internal world, in a vast plain in the central continent, there was an extremely luxuriant vine leaf covering an area of 10,000 kilometers. This was the complete form of the cloud contact vine. Cloud contact vine. Black-cloved Luo Feng descended from mid-air. How? A small vine branch, however it was 10 m thick and a few km long, immediately flew up and grabbed the black-clothed Luo Feng. Hua hua, the surrounding large amounts of leaves immediately parted, creating an empty space for Luo Feng. Cloud contact vine, be good. Black-clothed Luo Feng caressed the small vine, smiling, give way to a diameter of about 1,000 kilometers. Countless leaves swiftly retracted. Luo Feng's surroundings swiftly became empty. The cloud contact vine covered an area of 10,000 kilometers in the center. Immediately a 1,000 kilometers diameter empty space appeared. Enough. Black-clothed Luo Feng flipped his hand. 7 glaring red fruits floated in mid-air. First step. Luo Feng became serious. Cloud contact vine, swallow them. Luo Feng ordered. Rumble. The 7 main vines slashed through the air, directly swallowing the 7 watermelon-sized fruits that glowed with a bright red light. As soon as they were swallowed, the cloud-scraper vine's entire body began to glow with a red light, turning it bright red in an instant. All of the vines began to writhe in pain. Pain, pain. The cloud contact vine communicated. Bear with it. Black-clothed Luo Feng flipped his hand. A huge stone basin suddenly appeared in mid-air. Within it was a jade-green liquid that looked like water. Swallow it. Luo Feng ordered. Time passed in an instant. All sorts of precious materials were devoured by the cloud-scraper vine. According to the detailed steps, this process alone took about 2 days. The amount of materials consumed was probably half the size of the cloud-scraper vine. One could only imagine the amount of materials consumed. 153 billion points was a huge fortune. The last step. These 18 materials, swallow them at the same time. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with madness as he ordered. A series of seemingly ordinary vines emitting a terrifying aura wrapped around the materials in a frenzy. In the blink of an eye, they had completely devoured the materials. Cloud scraping. Now it's up to you. Whether you'll become an undying in one step, or if you'll lose everything, it all depends on this. The black-clothed Luo Feng stared hard at the cloud contact vines around him. The vine that had just finished devouring was very calm, however, after which there was the sound of firecrackers going off. The tens of thousands of kilometers of the cloud-scraper vines instantly glowed with a dazzling light. At the same time, the vines began to split apart, and countless fragments left the cloud-scraper vine's body. The main vine used its regenerative abilities to quickly grow back. Split. Regeneration. The old split disappeared and a new one was born. The entire cloud-scraper vine seemed to have undergone a complete transformation within a few seconds, from the inside out. Transformation after transformation. The cloud-scraper vine continued to evolve. This efficiency was insane and shocking. As time passed, Luo Feng, who was already high in the sky, looked down at the twisting and struggling vine that was constantly regenerating its body. He couldn't help but think, hold on, I have to hold on, I have to continue. The moment it breaks and stops, the evolution will fail. A whole hour passed. Within a few seconds, the cloud-scraper vine would completely change its body. This evolution lasted for an hour. An hour later, the cloud-scraper vine that had already become completely golden, the special energy within its body seemed to have finally found an opportunity to explode fiercely. The dazzling golden cloud-scraper vine that was originally in an excited state, suddenly every single vine leaf exploded with that special energy from deep within. The energy immediately exploded. The golden cloud-scraper vine was immediately frozen. A layer of ice formed on the surface of the vine leaves. Like a huge ice sculpture, the cloud-scraper vine didn't move at all, almost as though it was dead. Only a very weak energy ripple could be felt, showing that the cloud-scraper vine was still undergoing some very subtle changes. Ah! Black-clothed Luo Feng felt the surrounding space freeze with a terrifying chill, exclaiming softly, "It's so cold, I don't know who researched and perfected the cloud-scraper vine's evolution plan, just the various steps are already very complicated. It's probably some powerful chemist in history, or the successive generations of chemists that constantly perfected it." Looking at the evolution process, it seemed very much like a chemist's method. The last day. Cloud contact. Black-clothed Luo Feng looked at the ice sculpture of the cloud-scraper vine. Whether I can hold on until the last moment and successfully evolve and become undying, or fail, it's this last day. I have to hold on until the end. Getting through this one day of freezing should be the most dangerous step in the evolution process. Time passed second by second. Every second the cloud-scraper vine underwent minute changes, causing Luo Feng to hold his breath as he watched, afraid that the cloud-scraper vine would collapse. "Hold on. I have to hold on," black-clothed Luo Feng muttered. Every second felt so long, almost as though hundreds or thousands of years had passed. After being sealed in ice for an entire day, the cloud-scraper vine had finally reached its limit. The ice crystals on its body instantly melted. At the same time, the entire cloud-scraper vine shot up into the sky. The 216 main vines and the countless vines and leaves spread out in all directions, twisting and dancing. Rumble! A strange tremor that shook one's soul was produced. The last moment. The last moment. Whether or not I can connect with the universe origin energy, it all depends on this last moment. Black-clothed Luo Feng stared hard in mid-air, clenching his fists tightly. Even though back then he had the experience of nurturing the 100-vine star-eating grass, compared to this cloud-scraper vine, the difference was simply too huge. The success rate of the 100-vine star-eating grass was much higher. However, the cloud-scraper vine only had a 50% success rate. However, the materials required were much more expensive. The cloud-scraper vine was already at the last step. A formless pressure descended. The black-clothed Luo Feng, who was originally in mid-air, because of this pressure, immediately fell to the plains below, kneeling. The pressure of the universe origin energy. Black-clothed Luo Feng revealed a look of glee. "I've succeeded." His consciousness connected with the universe origin energy. The origin laws descended. At this moment, breaking through the shackles of life, from then on, becoming undying. Rumble, endless amounts of undying energy infused with the wood origin laws poured into the cloud contact vine's body. The golden vine began to madly absorb the undying energy. This was the one and only chance to break through to undying. It had unlimited amounts of energy from the universe origin energy. And after the cloud contact vine's own world energy merged with the complete origin laws, it too became a wood element undying energy. Energy transformation. Body transformation. The vine's life imprint swiftly merged with every bit of undying energy. From then on, these undying energies were no longer ownerless, they were all imprinted with the vine's life imprint. Even if the body were to shatter, the undying energy would still belong to the vine, it could completely reform. Merging with every bit of energy, every cell of the undying body, deep within, imprinting all of it with the life imprint. As long as there's a shred, I'll be able to revive. It's the undying body. In the distance, black-clothed Luo Feng muttered softly, his eyes filled with excitement. The universe origin energy slowly dissipated, and the huge crystal-like cloud contact vine that covered an area of 100,000 kilometers, constantly changing colors, gold, silver, purple, black, green, blue, the colors changed, the huge pressure of the god body gradually receded, however it still made one's heart tremble. Everything was calm. So, the cloud contact vine swiftly shrunk, becoming a few meters tall crystal vine. Black-clothed Luo Feng flew over and landed beside the vine, gently caressing it, smiling, "Congratulations, cloud contact vine." "Thank you, master." The vine's gentle voice resounded. "When are you preparing to build the god country?" Luo Feng asked. "Since the god country has already been built on the food planet, master can also use the god country to teleport at any time. I'm not in a rush. When master has enough time, I'll find another place for my internal world to merge with a space shard and become a god country." The vine's consciousness communicated with Luo Feng, speaking gently and clearly. "Haha!" Luo Feng was overjoyed within. Honestly, the cloud contact vine had followed him from Earth, roaming for so long, going through danger after danger, it had always fought for him. In terms of feelings, the vine that had grown up with him was like a good brother. Towards the cloud contact vine, he naturally had more feelings than the star-eater grass. Back when the star-eater grass became undying, Luo Feng felt more of a joy of having a strong assistant, and now, he felt even more of a good friend becoming undying, feeling happy for his brother and good friend. "No problem, it's not like we're short on time. After universe travel, we'll find a safe place and teleport through the god country. We'll let you choose a suitable location for your god country," Luo Feng said. "Thank you, master." The vine's voice was still gentle. Haha! Luo Feng was even happier now. Back when his teacher nurtured the cloud contact vine, it had 108 vines. After reaching undying, it was equivalent to an official level beginner. And Luo Feng's vine had 216 vines. After reaching undying, it was equivalent to an official level pinnacle. And because of its toughness and strength, even though it was only an official level pinnacle, its body's strength could compare to an emperor-level beginner. P.S. Chapter 1 here. Chapter 830. After flying in the dark universe for 3.5 days, the flying disc-shaped universe ship finally passed through the universe and arrived at the closest travel point to the Yenji continent. In the control room, the cloud contact battle armor fused with his skin. Luo Feng, who was wearing black armor, had a pair of black wings on his back. He was looking at the void outside, as if he could see the distant Yenji continent through the infinite space. It makes people feel excited. Fortunately, that cultivator is still on the Yenji continent, Luo Feng said softly. He could clearly feel the incomparably strong calling. It was far stronger than the soldier armor and general armor's call to him. Every cell in his body was clearly locked onto the location of the calling. It was in the sacrifice Yen continent. Clearly, the cultivator with the treasure was still on the Yenji continent. As long as you're here, very soon I will find you, Luo Feng thought. Babata, find a secluded area nearby. Luo Feng ordered. Understood. The universe ship flew swiftly. The seventh battlefield of the alien battlefield was split into many battle zones, and the areas outside the battle zones had much less experts. Hence, after flying for over a day, the universe ship found an extremely secluded place. Hua! The cabin door opened. The black-armored Luo Feng stepped out of the cabin door alone, floating in mid-air, casually keeping the universe ship into his world ring. Whoosh! Transforming into a black beam of light, He landed on an asteroid and drilled into the interior of the asteroid. The cave inside had traces of being drilled through. However, based on Luo Feng's aura, it should have been something that happened a long time ago. Scanning with the mini detector. No life has been here for at least 100,000 years. Yes. Luo Feng nodded, looking at the meteorite. Very good, this meteorite has a diameter of around 10 kilometers. The material is no worse than the broken stars in the broken star belt. Anyway, it's just a temporary coordinate point, it's enough. Food star, give me a leaf. Luo Feng ordered. A star-eater grass flew out from his shoulder, a leaf floated down and landed in Luo Feng's palm. This leaf was after all formed from his undying energy. It was considered an undying's body. If he used a scanning device, it would be easy to detect the energy reaction. Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out a space ring, keeping the leaf in it, after which he threw the space ring into a crevice within the meteorite. The coordinates token has been settled. Luo Feng smiled. Food planet, God country teleportation. Luo Feng ordered. The star-eating grass beside started to light up, emitting a dazzling light. The blurry light enveloped the surroundings, including Luo Feng. Buzz. Enveloped in the light, Luo Feng could vaguely see a godly mountain in the distance. Xiao. Luo Feng and the star-eater grass immediately followed the light tunnel and entered the God country. He arrived at star-eater grass's divine kingdom, then teleported to the human domain. There was a huge difference between divine kingdom teleportation and teleportation. Teleportation could be used directly in battle, but divine kingdom teleportation could not. Divine kingdom teleportation required 2 points to form a spatial tunnel, and the process had to be stable. Once in battle, the spatial tunnel would collapse, making it impossible to teleport successfully. So, even though they had the God country teleportation, during intense battles, not a single undying could use it. Back when Luo Feng was on his way to the Wulong starfield, he had left behind tokens of star-eating grass at many points. It was for the sake of being able to teleport to the divine kingdom in the future. Inside the satellite of a barren mineral planet, in an underground cave, a golden light shone. A black-armored Luo Feng appeared in mid-air. I've arrived. Luo Feng surveyed his surroundings. The black cave had no signs of life, and the gravity was only 1/10 of Earth's, and there was no gas at all. I've already entered the human domain. I need to find a secluded place for Mo Yun to build his God country. So, Luo Feng immediately flashed and darted out of the satellite, almost instantly flying 1,000,000 km in space, after which, he used his speed to reach light speed and his body passed through, entering the dark universe. Normal undyings could do it with their bodies, Luo Feng could too. Mo Yun, how is this place? There isn't a single life planet within 100,000 light years. Luo Feng floated in space. Master, let's do it here. A 2 m tall cloud contact vine was beside Luo Feng. All right. Luo Feng waved his palm, and with a casual slash, it exceeded a normal sector lord pinnacle by 100 to 1,000 times. See la. A space crack appeared and Luo Feng stepped in, entering the space layer with the cloud contact vine. Within the space layer there were endless space shards. Luo Feng, however, stood in space. Divine kingdoms were built in the interlayers of space. The first factor in choosing a divine kingdom was that it had to be remote. It definitely couldn't be a place where powerhouses often fought. Battles between powerhouses would tear through space, and if they fought in the interlayers of space, it was possible to accidentally discover a divine kingdom. And the universe was incomparably vast. There were many secluded places. The second requirement was to consider the God country teleportation. He had to save money. For example, if one frequently roamed within the Ganwu universe country, then the God country could be built within the Ganwu universe country. That way, the God country teleportation, etc., would be closer and consume less energy. However, to Luo Feng, He really didn't have to care about these problems, and Luo Feng couldn't always roam within a single universe country. The space layer, it said, it's split into thousands to tens of thousands of levels. The first level is the space shards. The second level is the God Country level. The third level is the space flood level. Luo Feng thought. The space layer was a terrifying place. Like the space shard level, it was the closest to the primal universe space. Its threat was very small. A few Sector Lord warriors could resist the space shards, and the God Country level was considered more stable. Undyings could normally survive there. The space shards there were much larger. Some of them had a diameter of 10 million kilometers, up to 100 million kilometers, etc. Outside the God Country level, the so-called space flood level, even powerful undyings could fall. The further one went, the greater the threat. It feels like swimming in the ocean. The water near the shore is very shallow. The threat is very small. The further one is from the shore, the bigger the threat, the deeper the ocean is, the waves are even more turbulent. Any expert swimmer would die. Luo Feng muttered. The space layer is the same. The further one goes, the more dangerous it is. So, Luo Feng swiftly flew towards the depths of the space shard. With this flight, he flew hundreds of billions of km, spending over 10 days of time. I've flown far enough. The space shard is big enough. Luo Feng nodded. Mo Yun, how's this place? It's very good, master. In the distance, huge space shards flew about. These huge shards were filled with empty space. There was no life within. Master, I've begun to build the God Country. Beside Luo Feng floated a crystal cloud contact vine. Immediately a formless energy locked onto a distant space fragment with a diameter of 30 million kilometers. One could vaguely see a world. This world seemed to exist in another dimension, and it slowly flew towards the space fragment. The shard was affected, it too slowly flew over. One was real, one illusory. They got closer. One with a diameter of less than 100,000 kilometers, the other 30 million kilometers. Rumble, almost as though the land and skies were clashing, the two continued to merge. Gradually the illusory space shard within began to form a world. The world gradually solidified. In an instant it completely appeared. Rumble. Merge complete. Since then, the internal world had completely vanished, and the God Country was formed. Master, the God Country has been formed. In the following years, the God Country will constantly expand, even swallowing other shards to continue growing. The cloud contact vine brought Luo Feng, easily entering the God Country. The God Country's diameter was less than 100,000 kilometers. It was expanding into the void world in all directions. Luo Feng stood on a mountain range, looking at the distant expanding God Country, and looking up at the huge space shards within. He couldn't help but say, I wonder when I'll become undying. Master, your comprehension of the origin laws is very high. As long as you're willing, you'll be able to quickly comprehend the entire gold law. With your ability, breaking through the core probably wouldn't be hard. The cloud contact vine communicated mentally. However, the moment you become undying, you won't be able to nurture the third body. Right. Hence I don't dare train the gold laws now. Luo Feng shook his head and smiled. The gold laws were indeed easy for Luo Feng. He didn't dare train them now. He didn't dare gamble. The third body, Luo Feng had high hopes. He already had the saw beast's fur. However, Luo Feng wasn't satisfied just like that. He could go through the virtual universe company's treasure trove and exchange for some rare life form's fur and scales. However, Luo Feng was still waiting, because this third body was his last one. He definitely had to pick the best one. The seventh battlefield of the alien battlefield. In a remote and quiet part of the starry sky, inside a meteorite. A glaring gold light flashed. Following the space passage, a black armored silhouette appeared. It was Luo Feng, who had left over a month ago. This time he spent most of his time entering the God Country level, and then spent his energy slowly flying back to the original universe space. Actually, there wasn't a need for Luo Feng to personally enter the God Country level. He could just let the Cloud Contact Vine go himself. However, Luo Feng wanted to personally witness the scene of Cloud Contact Vine building the God Country, as he didn't see it personally when the Star-Eating Grass built the God Country last time. Safe. Luo Feng looked down at his arm guard. The large scanning device and mini scanning device were still scanning. There were no other warriors around. So, Luo Feng flew out of the meteorite. This strong calling, it's constantly reminding me that there are treasures waiting for me. Luo Feng looked at the distant Yanji continent. However, the foreign warriors with treasures are probably very strong too. I have to kill them to get the treasures. No matter the cost. I have to get the treasures. Move. Luo Feng sat in the universe ship and headed straight for Yanji continent. 2 chapters completed. I've finished making up for this week. Even though there was a rest day, I'm still updating. Wu begging for monthly votes, recommendation votes, anything to comfort me. Luo Feng and that foreign warrior is about to clash like Mars colliding with Earth. Please send the votes. Chapter 831. Luo Feng followed the direction of the call. After flying for a total of 4 months, he finally neared his target. 1 billion kilometers. 900 million kilometers. The distance continued to shrink. After a while, it was only 300 million kilometers. I've discovered the enemy's scanning device. He's in a cave deep within the ice mountain range. Babata communicated. The enemy's scanning range is also 300 million kilometers. However, their scanning device is lower end than ours. Lower end than ours? Luo Feng smiled. That felt good. After continuously losing to the scanning device, this feeling of suppressing the enemy felt good. Because the scanning device's level determined, the entire battle was under his control. This is the image of the enemy, Babata said. Luo Feng looked up. A projection screen appeared in mid-air in the control room. On it was the footage of the alien warriors conversing. A total of 3 alien warriors. Your Majesty, it's a pity, even though we destroyed that alien Undying, we still couldn't do anything to him, letting him escape. An Undying said respectfully. With our strength, we can injure an official pinnacle, however to kill him is very hard, unless I'm willing to burn a portion of my undying energy. The black-armored youth shook his head. The difficulty of killing an undying body is indeed very high. If we can't kill an official pinnacle, then our accumulation of points will be much slower. The scene on the screen made Luo Feng frown. Able to injure an official pinnacle? Luo Feng muttered to himself. It's unlikely that he has a treasure like the Wu Slayer wings. Since he can injure a peak-stage marquis, this black-armored youth must be at least a high-level king-ranked expert. This is troublesome. Also, according to the precise coordinates of the treasure is with that black-armored youth. 200 million kilometers distance. Luo Feng's sense of the treasure was extremely accurate. He could confirm now. The treasure's coordinates matched with the black-armored youth's coordinates. Obviously it was on him. What do I do? To deal with an emperor-level warrior and kill him, the difficulty is simply too high. Luo Feng frowned. Even if I use all my strength, I only have a 10% chance of killing him. To deal with his target, Luo Feng had long prepared many plans. However, no matter how many plans there were, it still depended on one's strength. The enemy was strong. No matter how detailed the plans were, it was useless. This black-armored youth was probably an emperor level, hence it would be troublesome to deal with him. More than 200 million kilometers away, in a cave in a completely frozen mountain, the black-armored youth was chatting with his 2 servants. All of you, reflect on your cultivation. The black-armored youth instructed immortal servant. Only when your strength increases can you kill Marquis Peak Undying. Yes, Your Highness. On the surface, the 3 of them were talking, but in reality, the 3 of them were secretly communicating with each other through voice transmissions. The enemy's large detector is more advanced than our large detector. Fortunately, although our miniature detector can only detect a range of 20 kilometers, the enemy's detection has already been detected by the miniature detector. The black-armored youth sent a voice transmission solemnly. I can confirm that the enemy who used such a high-level detection device is very powerful. Your Highness, what should we do? The two servants spoke to each other subconsciously. Let's talk openly first. In any case, he didn't discover my mini detection device. Let's deliberately talk about it to trick him. We deliberately hinted to him that I'm a high-level Regis Godfiend. A high-level Regis is almost invincible on the Yenkai continent. Even if you kill a high-level Regis with soul-destroying techniques, those powerful beings would have to think twice before doing so. If a high-level Regis self-destructs, the consequences will be terrifying. Understood, Your Highness. After secretly confirming. On the surface, one of the servants said, Your Highness, it's such a pity. Even though we destroyed that alien Undying, we still couldn't do anything to him. He escaped just like that. With our strength, we can injure an official pinnacle. However, killing him would be very difficult. Unless I'm willing to burn a portion of my undying energy. The black-armored youth shook his head. The difficulty of killing an undying body. The black-armored youth spoke too. This trick of theirs, they really tricked Luo Feng. In truth, this black-armored youth's true strength was only at the early Emperor level. The difference between early and high level didn't seem huge. However, in truth, the difference in battle strength was extremely shocking. Many Undyings couldn't break through even after countless years. Whether it was in terms of God body or law comprehension, there was a huge difference. Early Emperor level had to be careful in Yenkai continent too. Late Emperor level, however, they could practically do as they pleased. Unless they offended the worst few. The three alien experts conversed telepathically with each other. The enemy hasn't left yet. The scanning device has been locked onto us. The black-armored youth communicated. Even though we have the micro-scanning device to detect the enemy, it only has the ability to detect the enemy. After all, it only has a 20 kilometers range. By the time we actually detect the enemy, he'll only be 20 kilometers away from us. The weakness of the micro-scanning device was this. At most it could be used as a warning. To rely on the micro-scanning device to detect the enemy's location was a joke. We have no way of confirming the enemy's exact location. We don't even know where to run. We can only run blindly. As long as the direction is slightly off, the enemy will be able to catch up. The chance of us escaping is less than 1 in 1,000. The black-armored youth said. Right now the only way is to shock and awe the enemy. We'll fight him and find a chance to escape. Understood. The two servants replied. My plan is, the black-armored youth swiftly told the two his battle plan. Luo Feng was constantly closing in on the enemy. The scanning device was constantly monitoring the enemy's movements. The control room's projection screen was broadcasting the enemy's every movement in the distant cave. Luo Feng suddenly frowned. What's he doing? On the screen, the black-armored youth flipped his hand, and a beautiful purple flower appeared, hovering beside him. Immediately, the purple flower began to spread out, following the cave's passageway to the outside world. At the same time, the thorny green leaves and countless petals also burrowed into the rock stratum. Within moments, that purple flower covered an area of 100,000 kilometers. The purple flower enveloped the black-armored youth and the two servants. Alien warrior! The black-armored youth on the screen said coldly. I know you can hear me. In the distant control room, Luo Feng frowned. Damn, the worst situation has occurred. Luo Feng himself had a micro-scanning device. Hence he was afraid of this happening. He had no way of dodging, and could only depend on his luck. He hoped that the enemy didn't have a high-level micro-scanning device. However, from the looks of it, the enemy's micro-scanning device was obviously very high-level. Even though the range was extremely small, it was still able to detect his scanning device. I don't want to be enemies with a strong warrior like you, the black-armored youth emphasized. You should know that the outcome of an emperor battle is very serious. I've already invited my allies. The moment the battle begins, they'll rush over. When that time comes, who lives and who dies will depend on one's strength. But the image on the screen immediately vanished. Obviously, the black-armored youth had used the micro-scanning device to block the 20 kilometers scanning area. Luo Feng was unable to see anything. Master, you've invited an emperor ally? The two servants said excitedly. I'm tricking him. The black-armored youth snorted coldly. You two don't even know this? That opponent's strength is unpredictable. He could very well be an absolute warrior. You think I don't have accurate information? I don't know how strong the enemy is. Those emperor allies will come and help me fight? Even if they can invite an absolute warrior, the price will be very high. No one in the outer region battlefield was stupid. Emperor battles were all about risking their lives. To be able to become an undying emperor, they all had many tricks up their sleeves. Who would be stupid enough to help others? If they accidentally lost their life saving trump cards, it would be too late for regret. Just like that automaton warrior inviting the two emperor pinnacle warriors. Firstly, both parties were friends. Secondly, the automaton warrior had accurately described Silver Wing Emperor's strength, battle style, etc., allowing the two emperor pinnacle warriors to be confident. Thirdly, they had to pay a huge price. 1 billion mixed elements wasn't something anyone could afford. Of course, if they didn't invite the two emperor pinnacle warriors, they wouldn't have to pay such a ridiculous price. Prepare for battle. Maybe I can't win. However, I'm confident in staying alive. The black-armored youth flipped his hand. A disc-shaped black universe ship appeared within the flower petals. Enter the ship. If we get attacked from afar, with the flower exploding from a few 100,000 kilometers away and the F9 grade ship blocking, we won't be at too much of a disadvantage at the start. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Looking at the disappearing image on the screen, Luo Feng was clear. He didn't know what the opponent's plan was. However, after tricking me once, they want to do it again. Luo Feng said coldly. Emperor upper level? If it was an emperor upper level, they probably wouldn't be like this. Inviting an emperor ally? Those emperor allies don't know anything about me, they wouldn't dare to help you. Also, even if they could, they'd have to spend time persuading them. Spending a huge amount of wealth, how could it be so easy? Babata, Luo Feng ordered. Turn off the large scanning device and keep the mini scanning device on. Also, get closer to him within 10 million kilometers. Yes. Even though he didn't use the large scanning device, he could still sense the exact location of the treasure. Hence, he could still confirm the opponent's position. The ship continued to get closer. The reason why he turned on the large scanning device earlier was because he wanted to know what kind of opponent he was facing and which race he was from. From the looks of it, it was a distant foreign race called the Nasher race. It was a strong race, not a pinnacle race's subordinate race. In the outer region battlefield, Nasher race warriors were very rare. This meant one thing: it was very hard for the opponent to find allies from the same race to help. Chapter 832. Luo Feng turned off the large scanning device and slowly approached. This obviously made the black-armored youth and the others feel uneasy. Why didn't the opponent use the large scanning device? Did they give up? Yang, I've already checked. The Nashi race in the outer region battlefield belongs to the demon camp. Haha, thank you Ku Tua. This is a small matter. Yang, if you ever come to the Star Tower, you have to find me. There are simply too many emperors from other races in the Star Tower. With your initial emperor-level strength, it's still very dangerous for you to travel alone. Thanks. Luo Feng smiled within the ship's control room. The reason he slowly approached and didn't rush into battle was because he was waiting for Ku Tuo's reply. He had used the large scanning device to confirm that the opponent was from the Nashi race. However, the Nashi race was obviously very rare in the outer region battlefield. It was very hard to confirm which camp they belonged to. Luo Feng couldn't confirm it. However, he had many friends, and friends had friends too. With this connection, it naturally formed a large network. Luo Feng asked Ku Tua. Ku Tua knew many Emperor-level warriors. With a casual contact, he easily found out that the Nashi race was part of the demon race, because there were Emperor-level Undyings who used a scanning device to discover that the Nashi race warriors were on the same ship as the demon race warriors. So it's the demon camp. That automaton warrior only placed a bounty on me within his camp. Also, different camps are forbidden from communicating with each other. That's a betrayal of the camp. Death is certain. And he's a member of the demon camp. He has no way of contacting the automaton camp. The two have different communication systems. With this, I'll be safe with the golden horned beast. Luo Feng smiled. My chances of getting the treasures have increased by a few times. Irina, prepare to move. Yes, master. 1. In the air, densely packed tiger insect kings suddenly appeared, all of them radiating a ferocious aura. Any one of these tiger insect kings was much stronger than ordinary world overlords. In the center of the countless tiger insect kings, there was a malevolent-looking mother nest. She had to precisely control 1,000,000 bugs. Even Alina couldn't stay in her inner world any longer. Listen to my orders. Luo Feng ordered. Yes. Irina's consciousness replied from within the mother nest. Irina was Luo Feng's sole slave. The two of them had a special connection. They didn't need to communicate to each other. With the 1,000,000-strong insectoid king core, it's like having a peerless weapon in hand. Luo Feng could clearly feel the position of the treasure. It was naturally the black-armored youth's position. The only weakness is, other people won't just stand there and let the bug army attack, hence they have to cooperate with the best scanning devices and at the same time be careful, the bug army's defense is too weak. Yes. He actually secretly moved? Luo Feng grinned. These are the exact coordinates. Luo Feng ordered, Alina, the 1,000,000 Emperor army, attack with all their might. Yes, master. Buzz, at the center of the 1,000,000-strong insect army, the mother nest sent out 1,000,000 consciousnesses to control all the insect kings. At this time, the millions of insect kings were of one mind, each of them had a huge energy ball on their claws. An energy ball was not something an undying expert would care about. However, if 1,000,000 of them gathered, even a peak-stage Regis Godfiend might die if they were hit. Xiao! 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 Countless balls of light instantly flew out, like countless fiery meteors streaking across the sky. As they flew, they gradually gathered together. After flying for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, they directly gathered into a beam of light that caused one's heart to palpitate. The universe space was extremely fragile in front of this beam of light, constantly collapsing and shattering. It's being attacked. The marquee immortal plant lifeform, swallow flower, which covered hundreds of thousands of kilometers and pierced through the mountain range, had long released its law domain. The law domain covered a radius of over 10,000 kilometers, allowing it to immediately discover the terrifying attack. However, it was already too late. The distance was too close. Rumble! The blinding rainbow light that made Luo Feng's heart tremble struck the densely packed countless flower petals. It was as though it was destroying everything. Just like a strand of hair touching a flame, it would immediately turn to ash. The flower petals were the same, against this terrifying attack that even an Emperor Pinnacle warrior was terrified of, the flower petals immediately turned to ash. That thick rainbow light continued to penetrate deeper into the mountain range. The rainbow light was getting more and more compressed. After penetrating the flower petals for over 100,000 kilometers, the rainbow light that was compressed to its limit finally exploded. First silence. The land and skies seemed to have gone silent. Following closely, Rumble, the mountain range the black-armored youth was hiding in, completely disintegrated. Countless rocks were reduced to nothingness, and even more rocks were swept into the spatial layers by the spatial shrapnel. The countless petals of the plant life, swallow flower, were also instantly annihilated. This was true annihilation. Countless petals were annihilated. Fortunately, it was large enough, with a diameter of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. If it had been any smaller, it would have most likely been finished. The explosion traveled over 200,000 kilometers and struck the F9 grade ship. Selah. The ship barely withstood the attack for a moment before finally breaking apart. The terrifying energy rushed straight into the interior of the ship. The black-armored youth was so shocked that he kept his 2 servants into his world ring. He alone hid in a cabin and withstood the attack. Rumble! 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 After a few cabins were destroyed by the powerful energy, the terrifying energy finally dissipated. Good, what a terrifying attack! The black-armored youth looked at the cabin that already had cracks in it. His expression changed. At such a distance, to be able to destroy the F9 grade ship, even an Emperor Pinnacle warrior's full-powered attack doesn't have such power. Is this the Bug Clan's attack? The Bug Clan's bug wave attack, amongst the trillions of races in the universe, was terrifying. Enslaving the Bug Clan? The black-armored youth fiercely rushed out of the ship, following which his fists became blurs. Without much technique, he forcefully shot out beams of incredibly strong undying energy towards where the energy attack came from. Immediately, thousands of beams of undying energy shot out. This caused his undying energy to be almost emptied out. However, that didn't matter. As long as an undying didn't burn his energy, as long as his energy wasn't destroyed, then after the attack was sent out, it would still return to his body. Because the undying energy was infused with his consciousness, it was already his own. This was the power of an undying. Thousands of beams of undying energy shot over. Luo Feng saw this and laughed. This Nashi youth is really smart. The first thing he thought of was the Bug Clan's attack. However, I know the Bug Clan's weakness. Why would I give you a chance? Shio. Countless beams of undying energy pierced through the sky, however they hit the air, flying for a while before hitting the distant mountain ranges. As for their target, the Bug Clan army, Luo Feng had already absorbed them into his internal world the moment the Bug Clan army had unleashed their attack. The Bug Clan army was his trump card. He couldn't be careless. After all, those Emperor warriors all had the ability to destroy the Bug Clan army, hence he had to be careful. The moment they were destroyed, Alina would die and his trump card would be gone. Nashi Clan's pitiful punk, prepare to die. Luo Feng immediately vanished, simultaneously passing the Wu Yu wings to the golden horned beast within his internal world. Immediately a silver-feathered beast appeared in mid-air. Its wings flapped, with just 3 flaps, it became a glaring rainbow light and flew towards its target 1,000,000 kilometers away. The moment it attacked, it would definitely be a killer move. Hence Luo Feng naturally wanted to use the fastest speed to finish off the opponent. When Luo Feng transformed into the golden horned beast and swiftly flew over, the black-armored youth who had unleashed his attack but felt like it didn't succeed frowned, fiercely waving his hand. Immediately 2 servants appeared around him. Let's split up and release our origin law domains. We can't rely on our equipment to detect the opponent, we can only rely on our origin law domains. The black-armored youth ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. The 2 official-level undyings, even though they were terrified by the wave of attacks from before, knew they had no other choice. So, the 3 warriors of the Nashi clan split up in 3 different areas, simultaneously releasing their origin law domains, enveloping a 10,000 kilometers area. Without knowing the opponent's position, they couldn't even escape, hence they could only fight it out. Relax, the reason why the opponent's attack was so strong was probably because of the Bug Clan army's combined attack. The black armored youth communicated, and that kind of strong attack, the Bug Clan army would have to accumulate energy before attacking together, each time takes some time. And I've already counterattacked. I think the Bug Clan army has been retracted, every few moments, they'll attack in that general direction, to scare the opponent. He can't bear to part with the Bug Clan army. So, in the distance, a flower flew over. Yanhua. The black armored youth's expression changed slightly. Master, I lost 62% of my undying body. Luckily, when I blocked the attack before I realized something was wrong, the other petals immediately dispersed and fled in all directions. That's how I survived with 38% of my undying body. I'll need many years to recover. Yanhua replied. The black armored youth sighed within. That wave of attack just now was so strong, the flower's diameter was close to 1 million kilometers, and one side had just blocked the attack. Realizing something was wrong, the other petals dispersed and fled. That's how I survived with 38%. Enemy. A marquis servant hurriedly transmitted his voice. The black-armored youth's face fell, and he immediately had the swallow flower fuse into his body. Looking over, he saw a silver-winged behemoth fly towards him in a rainbow of light. The powerful pressure it exuded, and its enormous size caused one's heart to tremble. Silver Wing King! The black-armored youth shouted. Silver Wing King, I'm from the automaton camp. An expert has put a bounty on your head. Don't force me. The black-armored youth thought to himself, I don't have many experts from the consciousness race who entered the extraterritorial battlefield. This Silver Wing King probably won't be able to confirm if I'm from the automaton camp in a short time. While he was wandering the Yenji continent, he had naturally heard some of the automaton camp's discussions through his detector. They had mentioned the bounty, and he knew about the Silver Wing King's bounty. Brat from the demon camp, you want to trick me? Die. A rumbling voice sounded in his mind. At the same time, the huge silver figure flew over. Fight! The black-armored youth shouted, gritting his teeth. So. He led 2 of his servants and immediately went up to meet them. On Monday, don't forget to vote for Tomato, hee. Chapter 833. The golden-horned beast's wings flapped, unleashing the universe traversal 3 times, instantly leaving behind a curved path in mid-air. Those silver wings were like sharp blades slicing towards the black-armored youth, only to see the space being sliced apart like tofu, a silver rainbow light streaking across the sky. Die! The golden-horned beast's eyes gleamed fiercely. The moment it started, it unleashed its pinnacle technique. Wung. The black-armored youth that was rushing over suddenly stopped, simultaneously pointing at Luo Feng. His ruby-like eyes gleamed fiercely. Go and die. Immediately a slender black thread appeared in mid-air. This black thread was like a slender black snake, about 10 kilometers long and only half a meter thin. With the golden-horned beast's vision, it could naturally see that this wasn't a black thread, but a long black chain formed from multiple segments. It could be considered a long whip. The 10 kilometers long black whip hung in mid-air. Like a steel lock, it blocked the golden-horned beast. Who? The black whip became blurry in mid-air. The silver wings immediately slashed at the black whip. Chi. The whip was immediately knocked away. However, it constantly rubbed against the silver wings, strangely affecting the power of the attack. The golden-horned beast had a feeling that it was sometimes fast and sometimes slow, as though the flow of time was changing. It forcefully broke the concept of the golden-horned beast's attack. The flow of time has changed. The golden-horned beast flapped its wings and floated in mid-air. Its dark golden eyes stared coldly at the black-armored youth. Silver Wing Emperor. The black-armored youth floated in mid-air, looking at the distant huge beast. Right now the automaton warriors are after you with a bounty on your head. You still dare to appear in Yenji continent? If I were you, I would have left Yenji continent long ago. I advise you to leave quickly. Time laws? The golden-horned beast let out a low voice. Right. The black-armored youth smiled and nodded. You should know that powerhouses who are skilled in the laws of time are extremely skilled at escaping. You might be able to suppress me, but it is impossible for you to kill me. You are doomed to have wasted your efforts. The other two servants stood behind the black-armored youth. Working for nothing? The golden-horned beast spoke, its voice rumbling. When he created the pinnacle of the bright moon technique, the primal Chaos City leader had arranged for many foreign warriors to be killed one by one. Amongst them were those proficient in the time laws. Luo Feng was very clear on how troublesome it was to deal with these warriors. Even though it was troublesome, Luo Feng still had some experience dealing with them. If you don't believe me, give it a try, the black-armored youth said softly. His ruby-like eyes suddenly lit up. Chi. The formless spirit attack immediately attacked the golden-horned beast. In an instant, it pierced through the general armor of the golden-horned beast. The material of the general armor was special. It had a shocking resistance against the hollowified, undying energy, instantly blocking over 99% of the attack. The remaining bit of the attack, under the roar of the beast god within the golden-horned beast, the soul defense secret art beast deity roar, had almost dissipated the remaining soul attack. The remaining attacks did not affect the small-sized beast deity at all. There were many materials that could block soul attacks, and this was also related to the level of telekinesis. Back when Luo Feng was still a normal fighter on Earth, he hadn't even reached the Star Traveler level. At that time, his spiritual force couldn't even penetrate metal. Normal metals could already block spirit energy. As his strength grew, his powerful spirit energy could penetrate metal to examine it. Like the UNMO planet ship, it could block soul attacks from those below undying level. The weaker the spirit energy, the easier it was to block. As for undying, to block undying soul attacks, materials were already rare and precious, and the blocking efficiency was also different. Like the general armor that blocked over 99% of soul attacks, this was simply too mysterious. This treasure was definitely one of the top treasures in the universe. Even the knights probably couldn't take out such a treasure. Howl, the golden-horned beast roared and rushed at the black-armored youth. One. The black whip slid in mid-air. Time flowed faster and slower at times. The golden-horned beast, however, let out a savage roar, simultaneously unleashing the three universe vibrations, flickering time and time again, constantly changing positions. Bastard! The black-armored youth's expression changed. Controlling the flow of time usually meant controlling the flow of time within a certain area. If the golden-horned beast was trapped by the whip and couldn't move, then the black-armored youth would have a much easier time. But now that the golden-horned beast was using its speed and constantly changing locations, it forced the black-armored youth to constantly control the flow of time in different areas. This was extremely taxing. Trap him, the black-armored youth ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. One of the two official-level servants controlled a dense amount of silver threads. There were over 10,000 of them, covering the sky and land as they enveloped the golden-horned beast. The other official servant controlled the barrier that was like flowing water. The barrier broke through the air and tried to envelop the golden-horned beast. This Nashi youth wants to trap me first, binding me in this small space. When that happens, he'll either fight me or flee. I'll let him choose. Luo Feng looked at the two official servants and understood the black-armored youth's battle style. Countless silver threads wrapped over. The water barrier enveloped over. You two official servants dare to mess with me? The golden-horned beast roared lowly, fiercely exploding, causing the vast frozen ground to tremble. The ground and the ice on the mountain immediately split apart. So. The golden-horned beast's speed rose to its limit, so fast it left everyone dumbfounded, and it constantly changed its flight path. The silver threads and the water barrier couldn't even touch the golden horned beast. How is it so fast? It's ridiculously fast. Our spirit weapons can't even catch up to it. The two official Undyings stared dumbfounded. The black-armored youth was astonished as well. In terms of instantaneous speed and speed changes, even a peak-stage Kinkenford expert wouldn't be able to do that, right? How could he know how powerful the Wu murdering wings was when it came to flying and dodging? You two foreign pawns will die first. Who? The flight path suddenly changed. The golden horned beast actually flew towards the two official Undyings. The two official Undyings were controlling their spirit weapons from afar, yet they couldn't even save themselves in time. Careful! The black-armored youth immediately controlled the black whip, at the same time trying to keep the two official Undyings into his world ring, but the moment he drew out a thread of world energy, it was completely dissipated by the golden horned beast's wings. Facing the obstruction of the black whip, the golden horned beast's right wing directly blocked the black whip, while its left wing was like a 100 kilometers long huge blade, fiercely slashing past. It left a 10,000 kilometers long silver rainbow mark in space, not dissipating for a long time. Purring! The two official Undyings immediately exploded. In that instant, one of the official Undyings once again condensed. Luo Sha, Luo Sha. This official Undying's expression changed greatly, saying in fear, Luo Sha is dead, Luo Sha is dead. What? The distant black-armored youth's expression changed greatly. Your Majesty, Luo Sha is dead. I lost 6% of my undying body. Luo Sha was a high-level official, and he was actually killed in one move. The surviving servant said in fear, This Silver Wing Emperor has the strength of an Emperor Pinnacle. It was possible for an Emperor level to kill an official level, but it would take a lot of time. What they didn't know, the golden horned beast itself was actually an Emperor level, but with the Wu slaying wings, it could match an Emperor Pinnacle in terms of killing power. Emperor Pinnacle! The black-armored youth's expression changed. An Emperor proficient in space laws should be able to teleport. If this Silver Wing Emperor could teleport, I would be in dire straits. But he didn't, but his flying speed is unbelievably fast. He probably didn't study teleportation in detail, but rather other aspects of space laws. Emperor Pinnacle, we can't mess with him. If he went all out and burned part of his body, I would be dead. The black-armored youth gritted his teeth. Flee! The black-armored youth was completely shocked. One of his two servants, an official-level official, was actually killed in one move. This was too terrifying. Silver Wing Emperor! The black-armored youth roared, his voice piercing through the undying energy and exploding in the golden-horned beast's ears. The golden-horned beast turned, its huge eyes looking at the tiny person. Freeze! The black-armored youth's ruby-like eyes suddenly shot out two beams of misty red light. The two beams of light flew out and rapidly expanded, covering a few 100-kilometer radius around the golden-horned beast. Under this strange red light, the golden-horned beast actually froze in place. So, the black-armored youth turned and fled. His speed continued to rise, following a straight line as he fled. Time stop. The moment the golden-horned beast was hit, it understood. Even though its body was affected by the time stop, its consciousness could still think. However, it couldn't move, its wings couldn't move, its eyes and ears were fine, but it couldn't hear or see anything. Everything was dark and silent. This was a dark and silent world, only the consciousness wasn't affected. Once hit by the time stop, there were usually two moves to break it. One move was when one was proficient in the time laws. The other was when a warrior who hadn't trained in the time laws relied on his own strength to break it. Break, break, break. Luo Feng's consciousness roared. The golden-horned beast's entire body was roaring with all its might. Naturally it began to explode with power. The Wu's slaying wings too were trembling, almost like they were bound by a formless rope. Pung! almost as though something had collapsed. His eyes immediately saw the vast frozen land, the distant mountains that had been destroyed by the bug army. His ears could hear the howling of the wind. Flee? You think you can flee? The golden-horned beast immediately sensed the treasure's exact location. It was already over 1,000,000 kilometers away. Chapter 834. Not good. Sensing the Nashi youth's position and the fact that he was fleeing, Luo Feng immediately knew something was wrong. Chase. The golden-horned beast flapped its wings and whistled through the air, instantly disappearing into the horizon. However, the black-armored youth's speed had already reached sublight speed, close to light speed. This was the maximum speed of the Yen-Ji continent. However, due to the environment of the universe secret region, he was unable to continue breaking through. The golden-horned beast's flying speed was similarly unable to exceed this limit. Plus, the black-armored youth was flying in a straight line. It was impossible to catch up. What do? I can't catch up at all. Unless I use my world projection, which reaches over 90,000,000 kilometers to limit his speed, I can't catch up. Luo Feng swiftly thought about it. According to the information he gained from the battle, he made a new decision. This Nashi youth can actually use time stop. It won't be easy for me to kill him. I'll trick him too. The golden-horned beast continued to chase the Nashi youth. One in front, one behind, flying at maximum speed above the Yen-Ji continent. Luo Feng's large scanning device was also activated. Even though he could determine the opponent's position without the large scanning device, Luo Feng didn't want to reveal this. Under the large scanning device, the opponent relied on the small scanning device to prevent Luo Feng from detecting him. However, the opponent's detection range was at most 20 kilometers, and he was flying at sublight speed. At this speed, it would cause intense pressure and ripping in the air. Even space itself would have ripples. As it whistled past, it would leave clear traces in the air and space. Through the energy waves and space traces, one could naturally determine the opponent's exact position. He's still chasing. Just what grudge does the Silver Wing Emperor have with me, to actually keep chasing me? Even though he knows he can't catch up, he still doesn't give up. The black-armored youth, who maintained his maximum speed, could tell through the small scanning device that the Silver Wing Emperor was scanning him. He immediately became even more furious. Chase, I'll see how long you can keep chasing. I'm at my maximum speed, you can at most match my speed. If you keep chasing like this, you'll never catch up. The black-armored youth gritted his teeth. Xiao. They were like two meteors, a small one and a large one. One in front and one behind, they chased after each other along the same trajectory. This chase lasted for more than 6 hours. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. The black-armored youth's originally ashen face suddenly revealed an ecstatic smile. Maintaining his rapid flight, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. I knew it. It's impossible for him to catch up to me. He won't keep chasing me like this. He'll definitely give up. Haha, he really gave up now. His mini-detector found that the detection of the large detector had disappeared. He had obviously stopped probing. When I was guarding the cave, it was understandable that he suddenly stopped probing. But right now, I'm flying at high speed. Who knows, I might change my direction. He actually turned off the tracking device. Naturally, you won't be able to catch up to me. The black-armored youth was in a good mood. After being chased for so long, how could he be relaxed? The black-armored youth first flew in a straight line for more than 3 hours, then changed direction for a day, changed direction again, and flew for another day. They flew for 9 days straight. Finally, he flew above a large lake. I've been flying for 9 days straight, so I've already changed my direction. Since he didn't rely on the tracking device, naturally, he won't be able to find my position. The black-armored youth stood above the vast lake, laughing coldly. Silver Wing Emperor? Humph, I won't forget your chase this time. This grudge, I'll definitely repay you in the future. So, He charged straight into the vast lake. This lake was completely blue, filled with cold energy, and was unfathomably deep. Half a day later, a black disk appeared above the lake. Within the control room, black-armored, black-winged Luo Feng sat on the sofa, holding a steaming hot cup of tea, leisurely drinking it. "You sure are careful." Luo Feng laughed lightly. "But how would you know? No matter how careful you are, I'll still be able to easily find you." That strong calling to Luo Feng's body was extremely strong. Every cell was madly calling out, locking onto the treasure's exact location. Killing him is really hard. I didn't expect a low-level emperor to be able to use time stop. Luo Feng muttered softly. Looks like he's from one of the more talented races within the Nashi race. Just like how there were many races within the human race, they all had different levels of talent. Within the demon race there were the royal race and the royal race. The Nashi race was the same. Time stop. If only I had this move. Luo Feng exclaimed within. Teleportation and time stop, these were two very heaven-defying moves. Teleportation, a heaven-defying ultimate move of the space laws. Time stop, a heaven-defying ultimate move of the time laws. In comparison, time stop was even stronger. The moment one was hit by time stop, one would be defenseless for a moment. The enemy could choose to attack or escape. Of course, breaking time stop varied. Luo Feng didn't have his guard up at the start. He didn't expect a low-level emperor to be able to use time stop. If he was on guard and kept his energy vibrating, it would take him 1 second to break it. A peak emperor might be able to break it in 0.1 seconds. However, to an emperor, 0.1 seconds was enough for him to attack many times. Luckily, the Nashi youth thought I was a true undying emperor with an undying body. With that level of strength, he wouldn't even be able to hurt me. Hence, he chose to save time and escape. Luo Feng exclaimed within. However, it's right. Even if he attacked me, my golden horned beast had the protection of the general armor and the cloud contact armor. With these 2 layers of protection, even if he self-destructed, I wouldn't necessarily die. The cloud contact vine was huge in size. Hence forming the cloud contact armor to protect the entire golden horned beast was naturally easy. Outside the black disk above the lake, a huge silver beast suddenly appeared. After which the black disk vanished. Who? The silver beast immediately rushed into the lake. After charging tens of thousands of kilometers, the golden horned beast finally stopped. The universe's secret region was filled with dangers. Just like this lake, the coldness was enough to freeze a domain lord to death. Of course it posed no threat to the golden horned beast. Irina. Master. 1,000,000 Emperor army, let's give our cute opponent another firework. Yes, master. The golden horned beast gazed below. This was a huge and deep lake. The deepest part of the lake was over 1,000,000 km deep. Some areas were only 200,000 to 300,000 kilometers deep. The golden horned beast seemed to see through the rocks at the bottom of the lake and saw the black armored youth hiding in the cave. After the last battle, the golden horned beast was very clear. It couldn't kill the opponent through normal battles. Especially since the youth could use time stop. Luo Feng didn't know the opponent's background before. Now that he knew, he had to destroy the opponent in one move. He didn't give the opponent any chance. Kill the foreign opponent within 30 seconds. Wung. Fierce tiger-armored bug clan emperors appeared around the golden horned beast. 1,000,000 tiger-armored bugs, almost like countless locusts. Beside the golden horned beast was the bug clan mother nest. The movements here were all shielded by the golden horned beast's large scanning device. As it maintained a 600,000 kilometers distance from the opponent, and the opponent's scanning device only had a 20 kilometers radius, naturally it couldn't detect anything here. Attack. Luo Feng ordered. The exact coordinates are. Luo Feng told Irina the coordinate. At the bottom of the lake, within a cave, there was an F9 grade universe ship. He had over 10 of these ships, because he had 12 undyings. It was just that they all improved at different speeds. The strongest were the 2 that had followed him before. As for the other 10, 6 of them were Marquis, 4 were normal undying generals. Within the F9 grade universe ship, there was a cabin that was made from G-grade metal. Just this small cabin, that was 10 wide and 5 tall, was more expensive than 10 F9 grade universe ship. Your Majesty, that Silver Wing Emperor can't even take care of himself. The entire Yen-G continent has a bounty on him. If he keeps flying in the air, he might very well be discovered by the automaton army. Hence, it's normal that he doesn't dare chase. And he can't do anything to you, so you don't have to worry. There were 3 slaves beside him. The black armored youth nodded. This G-grade cabin, against that terrifying attack from before, it should be of some use. The black armored youth thought. No matter how strong the defense of the cabin was, it would be good enough to weaken 90% of the attack. Luo Feng had the killer Wu wings. The materials and effects of the killer Wu wings were much better than the G-grade cabin. It could only defend against 90% of the attack's force. Enemy attack. The black armored youth's expression suddenly changed. Rumble. Following closely was an incredibly terrifying attack that instantly tore through the layers of rock and struck the universe ship. This caused the black armored youth's eyes to be filled with shock and rage. I didn't even sense any scanning device. How could I be attacked? Don't tell me it's an enemy even more terrifying than Silver Wing Emperor? The large scanning device is even more advanced than my mini scanning device? Rumble, the F9 grade universe ship was hit head-on. Like a paper box, it was immediately torn apart. The cabins within the ship were like soap bubbles popping one after another. The violent explosion struck the G-grade cabin. Pung! The G-grade cabin was like a soccer ball that was kicked away by a god. So, it was immediately blasted away like a shooting star, flying out. The surrounding million km had long been torn apart by the explosion. The front of the G-grade cabin had already caved in from the impact. In the center of the caved-in, there was even a crack. The cabin was tumbling about in the endless space layers. The black armored youth within the cabin was in an even more tragic state. He had sensed the attack and immediately taken in 3 servants. However, the bug army's combined attack was too terrifying. In an instant, it destroyed the F9 grade universe ship. The explosion struck the G-grade cabin. Even though it didn't destroy the cabin, it only cracked. However, the violent force of the explosion caused the chairs and tables within the cabin to crumble into dust. The space within the cabin was shaken into particles. Even the Emperor-level black armored youth, who was protected by the cabin, was instantly blasted apart. So, they once again reformed into one body. It actually destroyed 3% of my undying body. The black armored youth couldn't help but be shocked and raged. If not for the G-grade cabin, he would probably have died earlier, after which, he spread out his law domain. At this time, he was already within the space debris. Silver Wing Emperor. Through his law domain, he could clearly see that in the chaotic flow of spatial fragments outside, there was an enormous silver monster charging about, flying directly towards the cabin. Chapter 835. Cabin Door Open. The black armored youth immediately opened the cabin door and flew out. Because he was clear. If he hid in the cabin, then he would be like a turtle in a jar. The opponent could use all sorts of methods to trap him in the cabin, and he wouldn't be able to escape in a short period of time. Silver Wing King failed last time, yet he still chased after me this time. Against such a peak Emperor warrior, if he didn't have any confidence, he wouldn't waste time. This means, he should have confidence in dealing with me. The black armored youth flew out of the cabin, keeping the cabin and immediately fleeing. This was the space layer, the endless space shards were flying everywhere. This was like a large meteor crashing into each other. How strong would the resistance be? Maybe an undying could continuously accelerate, but the time it took to do so was obviously much longer. Hua, hua. Silver Wing King was like a fish in water. The murdering Wu Wings were a treasure that could control space. It wasn't affected at all by the space shard. Leaving behind a few traces, he swiftly caught up to the black-armored youth, who was barely accelerating. Stop! The black-armored youth was about to use it, but Silver Wing King had already dodged. Not good. The black-armored youth gritted his teeth. Humph, I knew you could use time stop. Why would I stop and give you a chance? The golden horned beast was like a ghost, constantly changing its position, surrounding and attacking the black-armored youth. Time stop, this technique was used on a specific region of space. It was like shooting a rifle on Earth. Shooting a stationary target was easy, but the moment the target started moving, especially when it was moving very quickly and constantly changing direction, it was extremely hard to hit. One theory: the golden horned beast's body was too huge to use it once, the area it had to control was huge, and the golden horned beast's speed and direction changes gave the black-armored youth a headache. Trap! The black-armored youth pointed at the golden horned beast. Xiao! A 10 kilometers long black whip danced in the space vortex, directly wrapping around the attacking golden horned beast. One of the wings of the golden horned beast was wrapped around by the black whip. Immediately its speed and agility were affected. This caused the black-armored youth to be overjoyed. Success! Rumble! Even though the golden horned beast's left wing was wrapped by the black whip, it still charged towards the black-armored youth. Bind him! The black-armored youth gritted his teeth. That slender black whip glowed with a dark glow as it tightened. However, even though the golden horned beast's left wing was bound, it wasn't injured at all. This was the Wu-slaying wings, a true treasure. Even a powerful pinnacle existence like the Universe Lord would find it hard to injure such a treasure. The black whip could at most slightly affect it. To completely bind it and cause it to lose its ability to resist, how was that possible? Boom! The golden horned beast was already closing in on the black-armored youth. Freeze! The black-armored youth once again used this technique. Stop my ass explode! The golden horned beast rushed over. Luo Feng's consciousness was howling. In an instant, a fiery red, heart-palpitating pyramid-shaped crystal floated between the golden horned beast and the black-armored youth, very close to each other. Fire God Source Crystal. The black-armored young man revealed a shocked and angry expression, especially when he sensed the energy ripples of the Fire God Origin Crystal. He was even more frightened. It's over. I'm dead. A Fire God Origin Crystal comparable to a high-level Emperor-level explosion. Has this Silver Wing Emperor gone mad? This was a high-level Emperor-level explosion, even if he was an Emperor Pinnacle Warrior. Against a Fire God Origin Crystal comparable to a high-level Emperor-level explosion, he would probably lose a portion of his undying body. If that's the case, he might as well burn a part of his immortal body to kill me. Why waste an expensive Regis rank high-grade Fire God Origin Crystal? Thoughts flashed through the black-armored young man's mind as he faced death. Teacher, save me! The black-armored youth immediately shattered the token within his world ring. Even if you want me to die, I'll drag you down with me. The black-armored youth at that moment, through the communication device, countless experts in the demon race's camp, who were on the same side as him on the blazing right continent, began to send messages. I'm about to die. The murderer is the Silver Wing King. The coordinates are... This message was instantly sent to countless experts in the demon race's camp. If the black-armored youth had said he was going to give a reward and let others inform the automaton warriors, then this message would have been intercepted by the AI system. Because contacting other camps, this was a huge crime of betrayal. For big camps, betrayal camps were like traitors to a race. It was an absolute crime of death. Even with a Universe Lord as a teacher, he couldn't be saved. Of course, if it was a peak existence like the Universe Lord, he could still be saved. But one had to know many of the vassal races like the Golden Horn race didn't even have an unimaginable overlord like the Universe Lord. Disciple. In an extremely remote area of the Universe territories, the territory where the vassal races lived. It's in the alien battleground. No! Similarly dressed in black armor, a rough-looking man couldn't help but shout, "Disciple, you have to live." Although he had given his disciple an item, and he could teleport there through the God Nation, that was the alien battleground of the Four Big Camp. Universe Lords were forbidden from entering, unless it was a huge battle. Otherwise, those that appeared in the alien battleground were all existences below the Universe Lord level. Of course, some super existences like the Primal Chaos City Lord could occasionally break the rules. Because of their high status, the vassal races didn't dare to say anything. But the human universe lords and foreign race lords also didn't have the right to enter the alien battleground. Rumble. Although it seemed like it took a long time, the explosion of the fire god origin crystal actually happened in an instant. The black armored youth's speed hadn't even reached 1,000 km. In front of the Emperor-level explosion, within a 10,000 km radius, that was the strongest explosion. Rumble, the spatial shrapnel was instantly shattered into particles by the powerful energy explosion. The black-armored youth and the golden-horned beast were both doing the same thing at this moment, to defend against the explosion. Who? The golden-horned beast closed its wings, wrapping itself up. No! The black-armored youth immediately took out the G-grade metal cabin and placed it in front of him. At the same time, he controlled Yen Hua. The support plant life Yen Hua knew that if its master died, it would die too. Hence, it tried its best to let out its last light. Explode. 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 The surrounding 10,000 km radius was instantly turned into a particle flow. Even though there was the G-grade metal cabin blocking in front of them, the explosion was completely dispersed. At most, the power was reduced by half. Almost instantly, the black-armored youth and the Yen Hua protecting him were blasted into nothingness. They were completely annihilated. Only the G-grade metal cabin, weapons, and the G-grade metal world ring were left floating in the endless particle flow. The golden-horned beast too closed its wings to protect itself. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Against the terrifying impact, after going through the Wu Slayer wings and armor, it was reduced to 1,000th of its original power. Even this 1,000th was comparable to a normal Emperor-level warrior's attack. It also shattered the Cloud Contact armor on the golden-horned beast scales. Luckily the Cloud Contact Vine was an official-level warrior, and its body was comparable to a low-level Emperor-level human's undying body. Even though it was shattered, because of its undying body, it didn't lose much. The golden-horned beast felt its body tremble. It felt stuffy. Course, it only felt stuffy, that was all. Haha, an Emperor-level explosion. It can even harm an Emperor-level pinnacle warrior. I have the Wu Slayer wings and armor, these two treasures protecting me. Along with the Cloud Contact Vine's undying body, even against an Emperor-level pinnacle warrior's explosion, I should be able to survive. Luo Feng was in an extremely good mood amidst the explosion. The aftershocks of the explosion were swiftly weakening. The golden-horned beast's dark golden eyes gazed into the distance. In the distance, the G-grade cabin, black whip, world rings and other items were all floating. Actually, the world rings Luo Feng and the other warriors had were all made from G-grade metals. Luckily it was just a ring, it used very little metal, hence it was very cheap. Even the powerful Undyings could afford it. When the powerful Undyings fought, how huge would the shockwaves be? If they used normal F9 grade metals to create the world rings, it would be easily damaged during the battle. Within one of the world rings, the official and normal Undyings who were originally filled with nervousness, the black-armored youth's undying servants, The moment their master fell, they all revealed looks of fear and unwillingness. No! No! These undying servants only had time to cry out in anger. Plop! 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 One by one, they fell, no longer breathing. Even though their bodies were still there, their souls had completely dissipated. Just like back then when Hu Yenbo died, his servants too died. The master died. The servants died. No matter how powerful the servants were, they couldn't change this fact. Amidst the space debris flow, the explosion only had some lingering sounds left. The golden-horned beast relied on the Wu killer wings, the general armor and the cloud contact armor to protect itself. It was unharmed. Of which the Wu killer wings and the general armor were incomparably sturdy, and could weaken over 90% of the attack power. And the cloud contact armor of course couldn't weaken over 90% of the attack power, but it could try its best to block, until it collapsed. After the Wu killer wings and the general armor, the remaining attack power, when it destroyed an Emperor-level early-level undying body like the cloud contact armor, was used up. The most valuable part was the Wu killer wings and the general armor. However, these were both extremely valuable items. The Wu killer wings, its value didn't need much to be said. That was a treasure even the Universe Knights would go crazy for. The general armor, it blocked attacks, it was even better at blocking soul attacks. The human race didn't have such a treasure, they didn't even know of its existence, they wouldn't even use it. Luo Feng also trained in the Nameless Manual, hence he was lucky enough to use such a treasure. Ha ha! Losing an 800 million points Fire God Origin Crystal, to be able to kill you and get the treasure that made my body go crazy, it's too worth it. The golden-horned beast too howled as it flew over, its dark golden eyes looking at the G-grade cabin, the black whip, the 2 world rings, the remains of the armor etc., especially feeling the intense calling from one of the world rings to every cell in its body. It was thousands of times stronger than the general armor. Its cold eyes too revealed excitement. It paid so much. It was worth it. Tomato rolling on the ground begging for everything. Chapter 836. On the edge of the Yenji continent, there was a towering golden palace in a desolate desert. It stood conspicuously in the middle of the desert. The strong of the foreign races usually hid in mountain caves, underground caves, underwater caves, and other secret places. The ones who dared to live in such an eye-catching palace were definitely the top cultivators on the Yenji continent. And the current owner of this palace was King Jujian. He was a peak-titled king-level fighter with the ability to teleport. On the Yenji continent, he feared no one. Whoosh! In the sky above the Golden Palace, a humanoid black flame that was about 3 meters tall appeared out of nowhere. This black flame solidified into a black-robed fighter. His entire body was shrouded in a black robe. King Jiujian, the powerful fighter in the palace, King Jiujian, immediately noticed the arrival of the enemy. He immediately sent a voice transmission. "You're from the demon camp. What are you doing here? Do you want to fight?" Both of them were among the strongest fighters on the Yenji continent. They both had the ability to teleport. Even if they fought, it would be a waste of time. King Jiujian, Svika. The black-robed fighter sent a voice transmission. "I know Silver Wing King's current coordinate. If you want them, exchange them for treasures worth 200 million units of Yulan. Remember, these coordinates are his current coordinate. You have to hurry. If you're too slow, Silver Wing King will escape." Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 figures appeared outside the palace. It was King Jiujian, who was short and skinny. He had a pair of beast claws and wore a silver mask. The other was the machine fighter, Svika. Svika had been staying with King Jiujian ever since he put up the bounty. Because, once he got the exact coordinates, he could quickly reach any place on the Yenji continent with King Jiujian. "You say you know where Silver Wing King is? It's just a coordinate and you want 200 million units of Yulan?" Svika sent a voice transmission. "It's a treasure worth 200 million units of Yulan. I can't use your machine currency, King Jujin said. The Black Wisp King sent a voice transmission. You can continue wasting time. The more time you waste, the further that Silver Wing King will run. It will be difficult for you to find him again. 12 seconds have passed. Bastard. Svika gritted his teeth. Even a peak-stage Kinkenford martial artist would not earn so much money at such a ridiculous rate. Typically, if one did not work hard for more than 10,000 years, they might not even be able to earn so much money. Yet, a piece of information was being sold at such a high price. I'll buy it. Svika turned his hand and a space ring appeared in his palm. He immediately threw the space ring in his hand. The Black Curly King took the interspatial ring and quickly checked it. That's enough. These are the coordinates. Black Curly King immediately gave the coordinates to Svika and King Jujin. You're coming with us, said Svika. Don't worry. This news was sent by another early-stage king-ranked expert. Furthermore, it should have been sent before he died. There is no mistake. Since I've received a treasure worth 200 million Yuan units, of course I'll go with you. Let's go. The Black Wisp King was calm and confident. He was not afraid of anyone on the Yenji continent. Whoosh. Swika, 9 Sturdy Emperor and Black Mist Emperor. Immediately 9 Sturdy Emperor used teleportation and teleported to the bottom of the lake where Luo Feng and the Black Armored Youth were battling. Within the space layer. After the Golden Horned Beast used a Fire God crystal worth 800 million points to kill the Black Armored Youth, it didn't bother to carefully study the treasures. It immediately grabbed the G-grade cabin, the 2 world rings, the Black Whip and the other spoils of war and swiftly stored them into its own world ring. Things might change if I delay. Before this Black Armored Youth died, he might have invited someone to deal with me. I'd better hurry and leave. After I leave this place, I'll slowly study the treasures. Whoosh! The Golden Horned Beast swiftly broke through the space barrier and returned to the original universe space. It appeared at the bottom of the lake and immediately switched back to its human body. The Wu Killer Wings also merged with the human body. The reason for this was because the Golden Horned Beast was simply too huge. Its body was over 100 kilometers long, plus its tail and even larger wings. The micro-detector only had a 20 kilometers radius. It couldn't completely hide the Golden Horned Beast. Rumble! The Earthling spread his wings and flew up in an instant. He broke through the rock layer and rushed out of the cold and deep lake. In just a few seconds, he had rushed out of the lake. Whoosh! It swiftly fled into the distance. The commotion from the battle before was too huge. The Bug Army's combined attack would probably attract the warriors over. I have to hurry and leave this place. Luo Feng's wings flapped and he unleashed 3 universe vibrations. His speed rose rapidly. Even though it was rushed, however, Luo Feng was filled with joy within. To get the treasures from this foreign warrior, he had planned for a long time. The first time he noticed the treasures, he wanted to fight. However, he suppressed it and forced his way back to the base to raise his strength before returning. After much hard work, he finally succeeded in killing this opponent and getting the treasures he wanted. Within the cave at the bottom of the lake, Swika, 9 Tough Emperor and Black Wisp Emperor, these 3 warriors from different races appeared at the same time. What a strong energy reaction! 9 Tough Emperor communicated. Very strong. Black Wisp Emperor's expression changed too. Silver Wing Emperor could very well be here conducting a scan. Swika didn't care much. He immediately released the large and micro detectors and immediately spread them out in all directions. Not good. Luo Feng, who was flying swiftly, activated both the large and micro detectors at the same time. The large detectors were used to detect the enemy. The micro detectors were used to protect himself and alert against stronger enemies. The moment Black Wisp Emperor, 9 Tough Emperor and Swika appeared in the cave, Luo Feng's large detectors immediately detected the enemy. It's them. Luo Feng was shocked. Suika, Luo Feng didn't recognize him. Even though they fought before, he had never seen his real body. But Black Wisp Emperor and Nine Tough Emperor, Luo Feng was able to recognize them immediately. Because back in the base, Luo Feng had communicated with a few Emperor-level Undyings. At the same time, he had specially investigated some of the foreign races on Yenji continent that shouldn't be messed with. He already had a list of them. Black Wisp Emperor and Nine Tough Emperor were on the list, hence Luo Feng immediately recognized them. He actually teleported here immediately. That automaton race. Looks like it's very likely the one who placed a bounty on me. He's also the extremely rich one. Luo Feng recognized Suika and laughed within. I still have to thank you. If it wasn't for you providing me with so many resources, Mo Yun probably wouldn't have been able to become an Undying in such a short period of time. I wouldn't have been able to kill that Nashi race warrior in such a short period of time either. Stop! Luo Feng, who was originally flying at high speed, suddenly slowed down. He then flew at a very slow speed, relying on the miniature detector to protect himself. Furthermore, the moment the detector detected the enemy, it immediately shut down the large detector. He didn't dare to fly too fast, because flying too fast would create space ripples and air waves, which would make it very easy for the enemy to detect him. Suika, Nine Tough Emperor, and Black Wisp Emperor all activated their detectors. Nothing? The three powerful warriors were a bit shocked. Black Wisp Emperor. Suika looked at him. I trusted you and gave you the treasure a long time ago. However, I haven't found that Silver Wing Emperor at all. Did you give me the coordinates too late? Or did you lie to me on purpose? From the time I got the coordinates until now, it hasn't even been 30 seconds. Black Wisp Emperor communicated. 30 seconds? He definitely can't have escaped more than 9 million kilometers, and our large detectors have a minimum range of 300 million kilometers. No matter what, he can't escape our detection range. Now that we can't find him, it means that his miniature detector is very high-end. High-end? Suika said unhappily. I've fought him before. His detector is very average. Your battle with him was a long time ago. Wouldn't he have bought a better detector? The Black Curly King said unhappily. Everyone stop arguing. Nine Tough Emperor communicated. I'll go to the space layer to see if he's hiding there. Also, Black Wisp Emperor, help me sense the space. Make sure there aren't any special changes in the space ripples. If there are, it could very well be that Silver Wing Emperor. Okay. Black Wisp Emperor nodded. I've accepted the treasure. I'm willing to help out a little. See la. Nine Tough Emperor immediately used his claw to cut open the space crack and entered the space layer to investigate. After a few seconds, he came out. How was it? Suika looked at him. The countless space fragments in the space layer didn't have any special movement. Nine Tough Emperor said, I think that Silver Wing Emperor will return to the original universe space after the battle. The chances of him staying in the space layer aren't high. Let's first check the surrounding space. Okay. Suika nodded. There were many ways to check the space. Simple, like using Undying God power to check. This type of checking was very crude. The better ones were like detectors, but it depended on how advanced the detectors were. The weaker ones were about the same as normal Undying's Undying power detection. The better ones could even surpass the God power detection of Emperor-level experts. Higher level would be law domains and world projection. Law domains and world projection were methods that belonged to the laws of the universe. This wasn't something that could be created just by studying the laws. Within the law domain, the god spirits were the masters. Within the world projection, the sector lords were the masters. They could clearly control their own area. Of course, spatial techniques like the Thunder Hell and the 9 Ultimate Divine Kingdom could also be used to filter the space around them. I'll set up 6 hell worlds within a 100 million kilometers radius, Suika said solemnly, As long as he's within 100 million kilometers, I'll be able to find him. Shwa. The three warriors simultaneously appeared in the air above the lake. Nine Tough Emperor then led Tsvika and swiftly teleported to 6 different locations, leaving behind a base ship in each of the 6 locations. One had to know that the 9 Extreme God Kingdom was very mysterious. It was created by the Universe Knight Automaton Grandmasters with great effort. There were many ways to use it. Even though one was lost and the strongest 9 Extreme God Kingdom couldn't be set up, the other 8 ships still had many ways to use them. Even a single pedestal spaceship could set up a control area of a higher level than the Thunder Hell. With 6 ships, one could set up 6 Hell World. Countless blurry lights enveloped over a 100 million kilometers area. It spread through the surrounding mountain ranges and permeated tens of millions of km into the endless land, enveloping the vast lake. Everything was under control. And Luo Feng, who flew slowly and didn't dare cause any ripples in space, was naturally enveloped within the 6 Hell Worlds. Wu, I'm late again. Tomato has a long trip tomorrow. Tomorrow's chapter will have to be updated at night. Please forgive me. Chapter 837. In the sky above the boundless land, the 6 pyramid-shaped spaceships were hovering in the distance. With the 6 pyramid-shaped spaceships as the center, countless rays of light shot out from them. The rays of light connected with each other and instantly formed a misty space that looked like a cage, the 6-directional prison realm. Over 100 million area, completely isolated from the outside world. In the hexagon purgatory realm, even a weapon or an extremely weak creature can't escape my detection. Tsvika stood in the air above the lake, mountains etc. all became a part of this white mist space cage. So powerful! Black Silk King exclaimed. This is made by a Universe Knight level automaton master. 9 Tough King smiled. Any automaton was considered a master in the field of mechanics. Any one of them could easily create a huge automaton empire. Of course, as their strength grew, their comprehension grew, the machines they created became more and more terrifying. A weapon created by a machine race master at the universe venerable level was definitely rare and expensive. That Silver Wing King won't be able to escape. Tsvika said coldly. Search for me. Tsvika gritted his teeth. Search every inch of the place, any signs of life, any traces of energy, find them all. 1. The white mist within 6-directional Hell World suddenly shot out white threads visible to the naked eye. The countless threads were densely packed, covering over 100 million km area within 6-directional Hell World, and began to search intensely. Such a search, just one wave of search, the area it covered, the search was extremely detailed, the amount of energy used was astronomical, enough to make normal undyings go bankrupt. 1 suspicious object, 2 suspicious objects. The 6 spaceships quickly reported. After 39 seconds, the search was complete, 82 suspicious objects were found. Lock onto the suspicious objects. Coordinates confirmed. Tsvika ordered. 9 Tough King, to save time, follow me to look at the suspicious objects. Tsvika looked at 9 Tough King beside him and communicated. 9 Tough King nodded. After all, 6-directional Hell Worlds spanned over 100 million km, the 82 suspicious objects were scattered all over. If they relied on flying, it would probably take an hour, and they couldn't afford to waste time. The more time they wasted, the easier it was for something to happen. These are the 82 coordinate. Tsvika swiftly passed it to 9 Tough King. Leave it to me. Whoosh! King 9 Toughness grabbed Tsvika with his sharp claws and instantly arrived at the first coordinate. Tsvika looked at the alloy wreckage that was entangled by the white threads. He used his undying power to probe it and frowned. It's just a spaceship wreckage. Then, let's see the next one. King 9 Sturdy teleported again with Tsvika. Suspicious items were discovered one after another. Of these 82 items, 62 were ship wreckage, 9 were weapon shards, 10 were undying corpses, and even a world ring. Anyways, these items with even a hint of energy were all discovered. When he found the world ring, Svika was overjoyed and shouted, "Silver Wing King, do you think I can't find you hiding in the world ring?" Svika immediately destroyed the world ring. The normal items were destroyed in the collapse of the world, only a few stronger items survived. Of all the items that survived, Svika couldn't find anything that could possibly be where Silver Wing King was hiding. This is a world ring. According to my detector, the surrounding rocks and soil, the final judgment is that this world ring has been here for over 100 million years. It's a world ring that was accidentally dropped during the war outside, yet it wasn't discovered by the victors. King 9 Toughness said, "Silver Wing King won't be inside." "Then where is he?" Svika gritted his teeth. "Black Curly King." Svika looked at him. Black Curly King, who was shrouded in a black robe, said coldly, "Don't doubt a titled Emperor Pinnacle Warrior. I won't go so far as to throw away my pride for your 200 million Yulan treasure." Those warriors had eternal life. At their level, their lifespan was endless. Hence, they pursued the limits and valued their pride even more. Maybe they would kill wantonly, maybe they didn't care about their reputation, but there were some things like lying and cheating that was a very shameful thing. If it was for a certain cardinal treasure, they would be willing to go to any lengths. Just 200 million Yulan to a peak-stage king-conferred martial artist, they wouldn't stoop so low. "Then where is he?" Svika stood in the air above the lake and looked in all directions. "There are 3 possibilities." King 9 Toughness sent a voice transmission to each other. 1. He is in the void and has not returned to the original universe. Instead, he has gone deep into the void. Logically speaking, the probability of him not returning to the original universe but going deep into the void after the battle is very low. The probability is less than 1%. 2. He is in the 6 Directions Hell Realm, but we can't find him. Even with the 6 Directions Hell Realm's careful investigation, we can't find him. We can only say that his concealment technique is very good. The probability is about 20%. 3. He has escaped from the 6 Directions Hell Realm. The probability is the highest. How did he escape? Svika looked at him. "There are many ways," King 9 Toughness said. King Jujin said, "The Silver Wing King is famous for his instantaneous acceleration and dodging. With his achievements in space, he might have comprehended the teleportation technique in the near future. After killing his target, he teleported away." Instant shift? How did he learn instant shift in less than a year? Svika shook his head. "It can't be that fast. It's hard to say." King 9 Toughness said, "Another reason is that his enemy had told a large number of demon camp members about him before he died. Perhaps this information was leaked to the human camp. He must have friends in the human camp. The last time we were about to attack, wasn't he taken away by his ally using instant shift? It's possible this time as well. It's just that his speed is faster than ours." "I don't believe it. I don't believe it." Svika gritted his teeth. Although he felt that what King 9 Toughness said made sense, he wasn't willing to admit it. He didn't want to believe that Silver Wing King had escaped again. 6 Directions Hell Realm, send out the maximum amount of energy. Svika immediately ordered. The range is the entire 6 Directions Hell Realm. Destroy it! Destroy everything in the 6 Directions Hell Realm. The lakes, rocks, mountains, and everything else. Turn them all into nothingness. Svika's eyes were filled with madness. Turn everything within 100 million kilometers into nothingness. If it doesn't turn into nothingness, then it must be someone suspicious. Rumble rumble, the 6 Directions Hell Realm began to send out the maximum amount of energy. Immediately, crazy explosions began to spread throughout the 100 million kilometer range. One had to know that even the strongest attack of the Emperor Zerg army could only cover a 10 million kilometer range. This 100 million-kilometer range was 1,000 times larger. Hence, it was destined that the power of every inch of the range would be far weaker than the Zerg army's attack. At most, it could destroy E2 or E3 grade metals. No matter how strong the energy was, once it was spread over 100 million-kilometer range, its power would be weaker on average. Although the power was weak, however, the rocks in the lakes, other than a few that were extremely hard, most of them couldn't withstand such an attack. The endless rocky mountain range was instantly turned into nothingness by the energy explosion. The lake water was also completely destroyed, and the thick ground was also continuously disappearing. 99.9% of the matter was completely destroyed and turned into nothingness. A very, very small amount of matter had shattered. There were also some hard matter that was completely undamaged. Actually, just like the broken star belt that Luofeng was in back then, every single broken star could withstand an attack from a Sector Lord Pinnacle Warrior. Although the Sacrifice Yen continent was much bigger, normal matter wasn't that hard. Damn. He actually used this move. The amount of energy used is at least comparable to an Emperor-level explosion. An ordinary-looking piece of rock in the Rocky Mountain range was blasted apart by the attack. Judging from the aura and the material, it was just a rock that was as hard as other rocks. In truth, it was a stone transformed by the Masha clansman. Its aura was copied using its natural ability, completely replicating a normal rock. Hence, unless a warrior used his undying god's energy to penetrate into the rock and check its insides, otherwise, it would be impossible to see through the rock's true appearance from the outside or the equipment. Over 100 million kilometer. So much energy. Although a fire god origin crystal is the most expensive energy compression technique and the undying god power, that device relies on energy crystals. I reckon that the output of so much energy is equivalent to tens of millions of mixed elements. Looks like that fellow from the machine race is really mad. Attack. Attack any matter that hasn't been destroyed. Swaika gritted his teeth. He wanted to destroy everything within 100 million kilometer range. Only by destroying everything would he be satisfied. Only then would he truly believe that Silver Wing Emperor had escaped. While Luofeng was in a predicament, in a certain place in the virtual universe, within a vast hall. There were a total of 108 ancient thrones in the hall, and on each of the thrones sat an expert. They were either human experts or experts of other races, and all of them exuded a powerful aura. The reason I've gathered everyone is because according to the information from the alien battlefield army system, human Sector Lord Luofeng has successfully killed an Emperor-level low-level Undying. On one of the thrones, a tall human clad in purple armor and a peculiar cross-shaped helmet said solemnly, "Impossible. He has no way of killing an Emperor-level low-level. I request to watch the army system's footage." Immediately, the other beings denied it. Everyone, just relying on Luofeng himself, a Sector Lord naturally has no way of killing an Emperor-level low-level Undying. However, the military merits are all on him. This means he used some special method to kill an Emperor-level. According to the internal management rules of our Hong Alliance, since he has achieved this, no matter what treasures or methods he uses, as long as he can kill a low-level regal, then we can take him in, the tall, purple-armored being said in a low voice. Chapter 838. The purple-armored being's gaze swept across the other humans and alien race absolute warriors, saying solemnly, "Everything will be done according to the rules. Since it's in accordance with the rules, we should absorb Luofeng." Seconded. Seconded. Immediately a few of the powerful beings hesitated before agreeing. The official members of the Great Alliance will definitely be the true warriors of the various races. If he can rely on some treasures or special methods to kill an Emperor-level beginner, that will prove his strength. However, what I'm worried about is that it could very well be his protector who killed the beginner. And that protector didn't register with the army system, the army system will automatically recognize him as Luo Feng's follower. Naturally, the merit will go to Luo Feng. A life form with many jade-green tentacle braids said with a sharp voice, "Hence, I've requested to view the footage of that battle. Viewing the battle footage will prove everything. Yijing Knight, please view the footage." Many powerful beings looked at the purple-armored tall man. All of Luo Feng's battle footage's viewing rights far surpass ours. The purple-armored tall man said solemnly, "We don't even have the right to view it." "How can that be? I'll personally request from the army system. My rights really aren't enough." Request failed. He's not even a knight, how can he have such a high viewing rights? Within the originally relatively calm hall, the over 100 absolute warriors from the various races immediately broke out in an uproar. Obviously the battle footage's viewing rights were so high that they couldn't comprehend or even imagine it. The purple-armored tall man said solemnly, "This is the right set by the primal Chaos City leader himself." Silence reigned. The other 100 powerful beings in the hall all kept quiet, glancing at each other, their eyes filled with understanding and helplessness. The Great Alliance was an alliance formed mainly by humans and large amounts of other races. Humans were the main ones, and humans were definitely the top 3. In the vast universe, they were the absolute overlord. The primal Chaos City Master's position in the Great Alliance was obvious. The authority he had set. The universe paragons from the various races were speechless. The primal Chaos City leader had raised the viewing right. As long as he was willing, there were probably no more than 3 people in the entire Great Alliance who could view the footage. Absorbing Luo Feng into the Great Alliance, any objections? The purple-armored tall man looked at the many representatives. No objections. No objections. Seconded. Seconded. Many existences quickly nodded and no longer made any requests to watch the video. Since they've all passed, I'll immediately arrange for a representative team to invite Luo Feng to officially join our Great Alliance. The purple-armored man nodded slightly before disappearing into thin air. The other powerful existences on the thrones also disappeared. In an instant, only the 108 ancient thrones remained in the hall. In the extraterrestrial battlefield, on the sacrificing flame continent. Attack, destroy all undamaged matter, and turn it into nothingness. Svika stood in the void, gnashing his teeth. In an instant, the entire 6-directional prison world started to condense white pillars of light. They were like lasers, each of them had 10 times the attack power of a peak world overlord. Over 100 pillars of light started to attack everything that wasn't destroyed. Puff, puff, puff. Pieces of rock and metal that were originally hard were turned into nothingness after being bombarded by the white light beam. Very few of them were turned into fragments, and only a handful of metals and rocks remained unharmed under the attack. Puff! A white pillar of light hit the Masha clansman's rock. After all, it had 10 times the attack power of a peak world overlord, and the Masha clansman was only a sector lord pinnacle. After transforming into a rock, the so-called origin law comprehension was of no use at all. The rock split into 7 pieces and the rest crumbled into dust. We're about to be discovered. Continue to attack, everything will be turned into nothingness. Svika clearly knew the details of the 6-directional prison world through the 6 spaceships. Emperor Jiujian. Svika communicated to Emperor Jiujian beside him. HM? Emperor Jiujian looked at him, his eyes beneath the mask were cold. Can I trouble you to receive the Death Spirit Emperor? Svika said, when I received the information about the Black Mist Emperor, I immediately invited the Death Spirit Emperor over. He has already teleported through the God Country and arrived in the void outside of Yenji continent. These are the detailed coordinates. HM. Emperor Jiujian disappeared into thin air. Svika, on the other hand, felt a little heartache, resentment, and unwillingness. I originally thought that the Black Mist King was a peak-conferred king expert, and the information he brought would not be fake. I was afraid that there would be an accident, so I immediately invited the Death Spirit King as soon as possible. Now that the Death Spirit King's holy kingdom has teleported here from the Star Tower, if I make a wasted trip, I have to give some benefits. Asking a Peak Emperor to teleport over from the God Country and make a wasted trip? How was that possible? Of course he had to give him some gifts to appease his dissatisfaction. In just a few seconds, shwa, two figures appeared out of thin air. One was the short masked Nine Sturdy King, and the other was the thousand-eyed Heart Clan's powerhouse, the Death Spirit King, whose scales were filled with eyes. The moment the Death Spirit King arrived, the formless pressure made Svika a little uncomfortable. Even the Black Curly King, who was shrouded in a black robe, was shocked. They were all Peak Emperor, but the difference in strength was huge. For example, the Death Spirit Emperor was extremely strong in the soul aspect. Many undying emperors died in his hands, so naturally his status was higher. "Where's Silver Wing King?" the Death Spirit Emperor asked. This. Svika felt awkward. Spatial ripple. Spatial ripple. Emperor Jiu Jian and Black Mist Emperor both felt the spatial ripple at the same time. This familiar ripple, to Emperor Jiu Jian and Black Mist Emperor who could teleport, they instantly knew that an expert was teleporting. An expert is teleporting. Black Mist Emperor said coldly, "I'll seal the space." 1. The Black Feather King, who had been watching from the sidelines and constantly emitting his immortal divine power, was also a little ashamed that he had obtained a treasure worth 200 million units of Yulan units because Svika couldn't find the Silver Wing King. It was impossible for him to return it to Svika, so he did something to compensate. His already spread out undying god power suddenly vibrated. Like countless threads of undying god power forming a spider web, it locked down the 30 million kilometer area where the spatial ripple was created. Silver Wing King is there. Svika could easily see through the detector, and the six-directional Hell Realm had also locked onto the two target. Svika was extremely excited. The one beside him is the teleporting undying illusion Star King who saved him last time. It's the human faction's Star Illusion King. Chase. Emperor Jiu Jian and Death Spirit King were filled with killing intent. Svika also got excited. Svika used six-directional Hell World to stop them. Now that the space is sealed, they can't teleport. They can only fly. With six-directional Hell World blocking them, they can't fly fast. It's only a few million kilometers, we can easily catch up. Emperor Jiu Jian was very excited. He was already waiting for the reward from Svika after the battle. Understood. Svika was also very excited. Black Mist Emperor stood at the side, only using the space seal to help out a bit. He messaged, "Svika, I'll help you out. We don't owe each other anything." Haha, Black Mist Emperor, thanks. Svika was very grateful to Black Mist Emperor. Previously, King Black Feather and King Nine Sturdiness had used their immortal power to investigate. However, King Nine Sturdiness had suddenly been asked to pick up the Death Spirit King. If King Nine Sturdiness wanted to continue using his immortal power to investigate, just spreading out his immortal power would take a long time. Because the fastest undying god power could spread out was light speed. Black Mist Emperor was just watching the show. Maintaining his scouting mode was the fastest way to seal the space. Silver Wing King, we're in big trouble now. Star King laughed softly, her voice resounding in the mind of the golden horned beast. The moment she teleported, the space was completely sealed. She couldn't teleport anymore. Haha, it's fine. We can't teleport away, but they can't teleport to chase us either. The golden horned beast communicated with Star King in its mind. You're on my claws, they can't catch up. Legend has it that Silver Wing King's flying speed is shocking. It's all up to you now. Star King smiled. Her wings trembled slightly and landed on one of the scales of the golden horned beast's claws. Her undying god power bound her and the golden horned beast's claws together. Go. The golden horned beast flapped its wings and used the space traversing technique. It left a twisting trail in mid-air, its speed rapidly increasing to a shocking level. Wung, an endless amount of white light surrounded the golden horned beast. Even though it wasn't like the 9 extreme god countries' purple light that could bind the golden horned beast and cause it to be unable to escape, the white light had about a 10,000th of the purple light's power. Even though it couldn't bind it, it still caused the golden horned beast's speed to decrease. Not good. The golden horned beast's flying speed decreased. Behind it, Death Spirit King, 9 Tough King, Suika as well as Black Mist Emperor, who was watching the show, were swiftly closing in. Haha, Silver Wing King, you can't escape. The golden horned beast looked behind it as it flew. With a glance, it saw the 4 little dots tens of thousands of kilometers away. In a short period of time, it had actually been chased to tens of thousands of kilometers. Hua! The golden horned beast fiercely flapped its wings and a huge space crack appeared. It immediately flew into the space layer. However, the range of Black Mist Emperor's undying god power was completely locked down. Death Spirit King, 9 Tough King, Suika and Black Mist Emperor, who were chasing, seemed to simultaneously enter the space layer. The 6 pyramid ships also easily tore through space and entered. Within the space layer, the 6 pyramid ships were as stable as boulders. They weren't affected by the space turbulence at all. They still maintained the 6-direction prison world. Black Mist Emperor also maintained the space lockdown. However, the space shards were obviously causing Death Spirit King, 9 Tough King, Suika and Black Mist Emperor to fly much slower. There were countless space shards that couldn't be removed. Flying was naturally filled with resistance. Woo! The golden horned beast, however, happily cried out. It flapped its wings. Who? The golden horned beast was like a ghost. It swiftly flew through the space turbulence. Its speed continued to rise. The space turbulence actually can't affect it? Impossible. Black Mist Emperor, who had always been calm, was shocked. 9 Tough King and Death Spirit King were equally shocked. What they didn't know was that Wu Slayer's wings could convert space energy. Once it was able to use its second form, it could even actively trigger the space turbulence. Right now it was only the first form. Even though it couldn't trigger the space turbulence, flying within the space turbulence wasn't affected at all. It was like a fish in water. The silver wings flapped. The golden horned beast's speed was shockingly fast. Even though the 6-direction prison world continued to affect the golden horned beast, the space turbulence was also affecting Suika and the rest. And it was even more so for Suika and the rest. It seemed like that huge silver beast was getting further and further into the space turbulence, until it completely exceeded the limits of Black Mist Emperor's space lockdown, following which it teleported and disappeared. Bastard! Suika roared unwillingly. Death Spirit King and 9 Tough King also stopped. They were silent for a while. Black Mist Emperor, who was purely watching the show, couldn't help but exclaim, "Amazing." 2 chapters completed. It's the middle of the month, asking for vote. Brothers and sisters of the Red Alliance, please cast your votes.